Part 3 Recap.
Let's quickly recap Part 3 before we start the next adventure. Leon dominates the Boys universe, gains mental control immunity, Haki, the Fool, and a Godzilla template fragment, while defeating Mindstorm and Homelander. He then returns to Marvel, where Tony is struggling with palladium poisoning. Leon helps Tony develop the superhuman serum, improves his technology with vibranium and adamantium, and upgrades RC. Tony also creates a powerful new Mark VI armor. Meanwhile, Leon explores Wakanda and obtains valuable vibranium and heart-shaped herbs. By Chapter 75, Tony's new powers and technology are rapidly advancing, while new enemies and challenges begin to emerge.
Now,
let's start Part 4, where you'll listen to Chapters 76 to 100. Get ready for the next exciting chapter of Leon Stark's journey.
Number 76. Nick Fury, I have a plan. Latitude, 38 degree 53 33.78 N. Longitude, 77 degree 0 338.91 W. S.H.I.E.L.D. Headquarters. From above, the structure resembled a *Civ cylindrical tower formed by three curved segments, its aerial silhouette uncannily similar to a radiation warning symbol. Main lobby. The most eye-catching feature upon entering was the enormous metallic S.H.I.E.L.D. emblem mounted prominently at the center of the hall. Leon's arrival instantly drew the attention of every staff member in motion. Yet their professional discipline was impeccable. No one rushed forward for autographs or photos. Instead, they paused respectfully, offering polite nods. Leon returned the gesture with an easy wave and a warm smile. Just then, a heavily armed tactical unit in standard-issue combat gear entered through the main doors. Their leader spotted Leon immediately. Captain Homelander. The speaker was Brock Rumlow, commander of the S.H.I.E.L.D. Special Tactical Unit. His team frequently accompanied Leon on field missions, serving as post-operation cleanup and tactical support. A familiar arrangement, not unlike Captain America's strike teams. Out of respect for Leon's overwhelming strength and public stature, they addressed him privately as Captain Homelander, a title that sounded more official and dignified. Leon didn't mind. "Hey, Rumlow, my friend," Leon said warmly, clapping him on the shoulder. "Back from a mission? You're the real heroes." "You're too kind," Rumlow replied modestly. "Compared to what you do, ours is small work." "Justice doesn't measure rank," Leon said smoothly. "You should be proud." Rumlow and his men looked as if they'd just been injected with adrenaline. Listen to that, what a leader. If Rumlow hadn't secretly been Hydra embedded within S.H.I.E.L.D., he might genuinely have enjoyed working under Leon. The man was powerful, responsible, handled the dangerous parts himself, and generously rewarded morale. Leon spent money like water. A good mood could mean tips worth several years of salary. Of course, serving Hydra and working for Leon weren't mutually exclusive. Rumlow managed both loyalties efficiently. Just then, a woman approached. Dressed in a sleek black tactical suit that accentuated long legs and a narrow waist, black hair framing sharp green eyes, Maria Hill walked forward with cool authority. "Leon." "Hey, Hill. My friend. I've missed you." Leon vanished from where he stood and reappeared beside her in an instant, wrapping an arm around her before she could react. Behind her back, he discreetly signaled Rumlow's team to leave, slipping them a diamond credit card. "Move along. Don't ruin the mood." Rumlow exchanged knowing glances with his men. The scent of money was intoxicating. Long live Captain Homelander. Under the unsurprised gazes of S.H.I.E.L.D. personnel, Leon walked slowly through the halls with Hill in his arms. Hill's tolerance for Leon was notably high. As long as his hands didn't wander into territory inappropriate for public settings, she largely ignored him. She had work to do. As Deputy Director of S.H.I.E.L.D., she wasn't here for romance. Director's office. Motherfew. Nick Fury slammed his desk. "You're telling me you eliminated Justin Hammer?" He yanked open a drawer, grabbed a nasal inhaler, and took a sharp hit to forcibly reboot his overwhelmed brain. Leon spread his hands. "What choice did I have? If he'd informed me ahead of time about his little scheme, I could have arrested him before things escalated." Fury's mouth twitched. He rose from his chair and stared out the floor-to-ceiling window, silent. After a long pause, "Agent Hill, give us the room." Hill nodded, removing Leon's wandering hand from her waist before exiting without comment. "Dinner tonight?" Leon murmured near her ear. "I'll show you the most unique fireworks display in the world."
She didn't respond.
But just before the door closed, she shot him a sharp glare. Her lips formed silent words. "You're dead tonight." "That's more like it." Leon smiled brightly. He turned toward Fury, who still faced the window in dramatic silence. "If you keep posing like a noir protagonist and not talking, I'm leaving." Fury didn't turn around. "I have a plan," he said gravely. "It's called Project Insight." "Oh." Leon's faint golden aura flickered briefly before fading. "I'm listening." Moments later, the two stepped into a secure elevator. "Project Insight Hangar Bay," Fury ordered. "Access denied." "Captain Homelander Leon Stark does not possess Insight-level clearance," the AI responded. "Override authorization." Director Nicholas J. Fury. Authorization confirmed. The elevator began descending. The hum of machinery filled the silence. "To think," Fury muttered casually, "we used to play music in here. My grandfather operated this elevator before he said. Easy fix." Leon snapped his fingers. His system ability, man with his own BGM, activated instantly. Music filled the elevator from nowhere. An upbeat, absurdly cheerful pop tune echoed through the confined space. Fury's face darkened immediately. The elevator continued descending. The music continued playing. And Nick Fury said absolutely nothing. Number 77. The Starry Sea as Canvas, Nuclear Fireworks as Spectacle.
Clang.
The elevator reached the lowest subterranean level, hundreds of meters beneath the surface. Before Leon stood three colossal, skeletal structures, unfinished helicarriers, their sieve frames exposed like the ribs of steel titans. Even incomplete, they were awe-inspiring. "These," Nick Fury said with unmistakable pride, "are Project Insight. Next-generation helicarriers, 3 generations ahead of conventional military aviation technology. Fully integrated with precision strike satellite networks. Once airborne, they'll never need to land again. The new engines allow sustained suborbital flight. I showed Tony the old turbine schematics once. He redesigned the propulsion system in a single afternoon." Fury smirked faintly. "Your brother is a genuine genius. If he were here in person to hear that, he'd be even more pleased," Leon replied with a smile. Then he gestured toward the 3 civ vessels. "How exactly do they operate?" "Not it," Fury corrected. I intend to equip the 3 sisters with long-range precision weapons. They'll be capable of eliminating thousands of targets per minute. For most terrorists, you wouldn't even need to show up. Satellites analyze their DNA, identify threats in advance, and the helicarriers execute surgical strikes. We'll eliminate threats before they're ever born." Leon tilted his head slightly. "From a humanitarian perspective, shouldn't punishment follow wrongdoing?" Fury gave a knowing smile. "That's the public-facing narrative. We can't afford to wait until someone commits the act. By then, it's already too late." He turned his gaze toward Leon, eyes sharp. "Isn't that exactly how our Captain Homelander prefers to fight crime?" Leon laughed softly. "Oh, Fury, my friend, you know far too much." He patted Fury's shoulder. For a fleeting moment, Fury felt something unsettling, like being coiled by a serpent. Some truths were better left unspoken. "Remember what you just said," Leon added calmly. "Which part?" "All of it." Leon's smile was faint. "Meaningful." "Of course," Fury replied without hesitation. He had no idea he'd just signed a death warrant for certain friends, with his own words. Fury continued outlining Project Insight's operational architecture, contingencies, and future strategic deployment. Leon listened casually. His primary objective for visiting had already been achieved. While Fury talked, Leon silently performed a system check-in on each helicarrier. Reward obtained: 3 hyper-realistic miniature helicarrier models. He was disappointed. Time Pa asterisk said quickly. Midnight came and went. Fury, perhaps unused to such open conversation, spoke for hours, careful not to feed Leon misinformation. Eventually, "All right, that's enough," Leon interrupted. He had plans tonight. "By the way, does S.H.I.E.L.D. have any nuclear warheads?" "I'll take 2. Fury blinked. "What?" "Nuclear warheads." Leon paused.
Fine.
10. Do you think they're party poppers at a roadside stall? 20. Okay. Fury raised both hands quickly before the number escalated further. He knew Leon's temperament. Minutes later, Fury personally escorted Leon to an external S.H.I.E.L.D. weapons depot. 20 nuclear warheads were loaded into a reinforced cargo crate. Fury stared as Leon lifted the entire container with one hand. "You're not actually going to throw them around like firecrackers, are you?" Leon grinned. "You guessed right. No prize, though." His biofield enveloped the crate as he shot skyward. "Madman," Fury muttered, already planning how to justify this to the World Security Council. Still, Captain Homelander enjoyed immense public support. And frankly, if Leon wanted nukes, he could manufacture them himself. Asking was courtesy. High above S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, Leon tossed the crate upward, then darted into an office window with precise intent. A startled gasp followed. Moments later, Leon burst back out of the building carrying Maria Hill in a bridal hold, she wearing only a minimal two-piece set, having been interrupted mid-change. He caught the descending crate effortlessly and accelerated toward the Pacific Ocean.
Soon.
International waters. The Pacific stretched endlessly beneath them. The sky shimmered with stars, reflected across the dark surface like an infinite cosmic curtain. Sea and sky blended into a boundless expanse. For a long moment, both of them felt impossibly small against the universe. Finally, Hill came back to herself and lightly slapped Leon's chest. "Did you have to rush me like that?" she said dryly. I hadn't even finished getting dressed. She had just taken off her uniform when Leon stormed in like a charging bull and abducted her. The timing was suspiciously precise. Leon smiled innocently. "Tell me something, darling. Are you cold?" His gaze, soft, dangerously sincere, met hers. Hill hesitated, then shook her head. And kissed him. 2.5 minutes later. Wait. Leon caught her wandering hand. "We still have something important to do." "What?" Hill asked, slightly breathless, eyes hazy. "The fireworks." Leon grinned. "I promised you the most unique fireworks show in the world." He opened the crate. In a blur of motion, 20 nuclear warheads were hurled outward simultaneously, surrounding them in a perfect spherical formation at controlled distance. Leon formed a golden sphere of condensed energy in his palm.
He crushed it.
Radiant golden streams burst from between his fingers, linking the warheads in a luminous energy lattice centered on him and Hill. The warheads began to vibrate. Hum. Then Leon snapped his fingers. "It's showtime." Boom.
Times 20.
20 nuclear detonations erupted simultaneously. Blinding light swallowed the horizon. But the lethal radiation, thermal surge, and destructive shockwaves were all absorbed in real time by Leon's combined powers: Soldier Boy's living reactor physiology, Starlight's energy absorption, and his vibranium-enhanced biofield. Hill stood unharmed. Front row. At the center of 20 nuclear suns. She witnessed firsthand the supreme terror and breathtaking beauty of nuclear fire. System prompt: perform today's daily check-in. Do it. Daily check-in complete. Congratulations. Reward obtained. Godzilla template fragment ×2. Leon's smile widened slightly. 2 fragments. The night's fireworks had been worth it. Number 78. The premiere and the astonishing surprise from a certain little spider. Studies have shown that when a person finds themselves in a dangerous or highly stimulating situation, the body releases large amounts of adrenaline, accelerating the heartbeat. If, at that exact moment, an attractive individual happens to be nearby, it becomes easy to mistake that physiological response for romantic attraction. This is known as the suspension bridge effect. Maria Hill knew this. She understood perfectly well what had just happened. And yet, after witnessing 20 simultaneous nuclear detonations at point-blank range, she still couldn't stop her heart from racing for Leon. The reason was simple. Given Leon's hardware and software, and the utterly outrageous fireworks display he had just orchestrated, even knowing it was deliberate, a calculated move, she fell for it anyway. Few women wouldn't. At this moment, Hill's gaze toward Leon was so direct it was practically predatory. For a second, she looked ready to devour him on the spot, only barely restraining herself with discipline. "My water meter at home is broken," she said, licking her lips lightly, her eyes locked on his. Think Captain Homelander, with all his experience, could come over and inspect it? With pleasure. Leon's smile curved dangerously. Tonight, sleep would be optional. 7 days later. Hill's apartment. Even with the *sieve protection of Leon's biofield, 7 consecutive days of intense cardio training had consequences. Hill lay on the couch, eyes hollow, expression numb. Excitement had long since faded. She now resembled a veteran soldier who had survived an endless campaign. Leon, meanwhile, showed no signs of cooldown. Seeing him reboot, almost instantly after being forced into momentary stillness, Hill gathered what remained of her consciousness and kicked him clean off the sofa. "You bastard! Are you trying to kill me?" With that, she promptly fainted. Leon scratched his head sheepishly. Like Tony, once he committed to work, he tended to lose track of time. After carrying Hill gently back to bed, he prepared to handle another matter. System, report the past week's automated vibranium mining results. Report, total yield 169 kilograms of vibranium. Fine. Bad luck follows me through life. At least I've got a guaranteed baseline others would kill for. Self-comfort complete, Leon shot into the sky. 1 month later. Kamartaj, Kathmandu, Nepal. For MCU continuity, Kamartaj is located in Nepal. Leon, having donated a very persuasive amount of money, was now officially studying at Kamartaj. Dressed in white training robes identical to Dr. Strain's early attire, he stood under Wong's one-on-one instruction, attempting to conjure a sling ring portal.
TCH.
Failed again. Leon clicked his tongue in frustration. How is that possible? Wong muttered, demonstrating again. You just do this, and then see? Portal. Even without a sling ring. Leon rolled his eyes. Wong. If teaching like that actually worked, I'd eat the entire Kamartaj complex on the spot. Wong sighed deeply. Leon, perhaps you should accept it. You have no aptitude for the mystic arts. Days of effort. 0 sparks. Not even a flicker. Even the Ancient One's personal instruction had yielded identical results. Leon's true disappointment, however, was not magic itself. It was this. Daily check-in available. Open. Check-in complete. Reward obtained. Wong's private novel collection. Please, my Sorcerer Supreme. Similar rewards had included. The Sorcerer Supreme fell in love with me. That time I reincarnated as the Sorcerer Supreme. Sorcerer Supreme, how will you repay what you owe me? The system was practically stripping Wong's dignity bare. All Leon wanted was teleportation. A simple instant movement ability. Was that too much to ask? He had even tried checking in on the Ancient One. The system had immediately rewarded him with the undergarments she was currently wearing. Leon had ** summed it was a copied replica. He was wrong. The moment he removed it from system storage, the Ancient One appeared at his door. Hundreds of crimson bands of Sidorak erupted simultaneously, binding him midair before she proceeded to give him a thorough beating. Fortunately, her raw physical stats weren't particularly high. Otherwise, a few swings of the sword of the Vishanti might have left lasting impressions. Of course, she hadn't been serious. If she were, there were plenty of spells in her arsenal capable of breaking through Leon's defenses. After the disciplinary session, she tossed him into the mirror dimension for several days of confinement. Ironically, that gave him ample time to attempt more check-ins. Result? Nothing. Not even a spark. Later, after shamelessly clinging to her leg for days, Leon finally gained temporary access to the Eye of Agamotto. Under her supervision only, he attempted to check in via the time stone. Still, nothing. Perhaps time manipulation was simply too overpowered for the system to grant easily. All Leon had wanted was something modest. A Naruto-style 5-second time stop. 5 seconds might be short for a father, but for Leon, 5 seconds was broken beyond reason. Alas, nothing. Master Wong, the library requires supervision. You may return. Yes, Sorcerer Supreme. The Ancient One descended gracefully, floating atop a golden sigil. Wong escaped immediately, so relieved he didn't even reclaim the sling rings Leon had been dual-wielding. Leon stared enviously as Wong formed a portal barehanded and vanished. Master Ancient One, you're just in time. Leon flew over, slinging an arm around her shoulder as if greeting a drinking buddy. Come see how my portal diagram looks. He dragged her toward the rooftop chamber he had constructed atop Camartage. Technically unauthorized, but enough vibranium structural reinforcement and generous funding made objections disappear. A single vibranium pillar extended 100 meters underground. If Camartage collapsed, his attic would remain standing. Leon Stark, the Ancient One said gently, across the past, present, and future of the sacred timeline, you may be the individual most incompatible with magic. Effort matters, Leon replied casually. Even if his luck was bad now, he'd eventually check in something outrageous. Indeed, she nodded. Effort matters. However, it is time for you to leave. Huh. Before he could ask why, RC's voice sounded in his in-ear communicator.
Leon.
Happy Hogan is calling. Patch him through. Leon. Happy began excitedly. The sequel to Homelander, Man of Steel, titled Homelander, Flesh and Blood, is premiering soon. You haven't made many public appearances lately. Think you can attend the premiere? It'll boost ticket sales and maintain Homelander's public popularity. What does Pepper say? Miss Potts respects your decision. All right. I'll attend. But why are you calling me? Because I'm the director. And RC is co-director and head of visual effects. Leon blinked. You're serious? Wait, did you direct the first one too? Of course. It was a box office smash. I've been promoted to CEO of Stark Pictures. Happy sounded absurdly proud. Nice. After confirming the time, Leon hung up. He glanced at the Ancient One, who had maintained a faint, knowing smile throughout. Without the time stone in hand, she still saw fragments of the future. Her lightning time, a near-time acceleration state, had allowed her to effortlessly react to Leon's speed during their sparring. Camartage's former renegade, Caecilius, wouldn't have touched a single hair on her head. Leon, the Ancient One said calmly, tapping his forehead lightly. Do what you must. Do not dwell on what you should not. Leon grinned mischievously. Master, do you think I still have a chance to live off you instead? Without warning, he performed a quick Leon grip. Before she could retaliate, he exploded skyward at full velocity, vanishing like a golden comet beyond even her casting range. The mirror dimension shimmered briefly behind her, then faded. Incorrigible. A rogue. She smiled faintly. Yet, that unrestrained sincerity may be rare. The future belongs to you. God of War. Leon Stark Odinson. Number 79. Ultra Instinct. The Omen of Awakening. Stark Plaza. A sea of people. All of them Leon's fans. For the premiere ceremony, Happy had gone all out, opening 2.5 million standard screening slots worldwide under Stark Pictures. In addition, 1,000 Ultra VIP tickets were distributed free of charge. These seats granted fans access to a private, 1,000-seat grand theater where they could meet Homelander face-to-face. The selection process? Jointly handled by Happy and RC. Strictly for die-hard fans. No backdoor dealings. Money couldn't buy entry. Because RC verified identity, not tickets. Inside the grand theater, Leon appeared in full formal attire, accompanied by RC Tifa in an elegant blue gown. Tony arrived in a tailored suit, Pepper radiant in red at his side. The two women linked arms with their respective partners as they waved gracefully at the roaring audience. Homelander, Homelander, Iron Man, Iron Man, Iron Man. I'm Miss Tifa's dog. Get out, pervert. I'm Miss Tifa's dog. Leon poked RC lightly at the waist. Looks like you've got fans now. I'd prefer not to, RC replied dryly. Soon, Leon stepped onto the stage. After delivering an **Sionade speech, he ended with Homelander's trademark line. You. My friends, you are the real heroes. The crowd erupted. Then, Leon clenched his fist. A faint pulse of Conqueror's Haki swept outward. The lights cut instantly. The cheering stopped in eerie unison. A thunderous orchestral score filled the darkness. Homelander, Flesh and Blood began. The storyline bore striking resemblance, almost 9 parts out of 10, to the comic version of The Boys. Which was strange. Leon had never given Happy any related source material. Yet Happy somehow created a clone antagonist, identical to Leon in appearance and possessing all his cinematic abilities except flight. The antihero's name, Inkscale. In the film, Inkscale was engineered by Dr. Happy, played by Happy himself. Under his creator's secret manipulation, Inkscale impersonated Homelander while committing atrocities in the shadows. The real Homelander spiraled into doubt. Public trust eroded. He teetered on the brink of psychological collapse. Through that arc, the audience realized Homelander wasn't a god. He was flesh and blood. He could bleed. He could be hurt.
He could feel pain.
This was the thematic core Happy wanted to convey. Humanize the symbol. Make the hero relatable. In short, weaponized vulnerability. Of course, real-world Leon would never tolerate slander. If anyone dared spread rumors, he and RC would trace the IP address before midnight. No grudges lasted overnight. No existential confusion either. The closest Leon ever came to self-doubt was waking up alone at dawn. In the climax, a battered Homelander regained strength through the encouragement of his supporters. Shouting lines about family and bonds, he absorbed the light of belief and unleashed a colossal spirit bomb chest beam that obliterated Inkscale in one strike. Tony, serving as strategist, battled Dr. Happy, but the latter escaped, setting up sequel potential. Whether there would be a third film remained uncertain. Leon had warned Happy not to write himself into a corner. The movie ended. The signing event began. Leon personally thought the film was decent, but fan response was overwhelmingly positive. Maybe he just couldn't judge objectively. In any case, the box office exploded. Leon signed. Happy handled everything else. Next, a staff member ushered forward the next guest. A shy boy stepped up, accompanied by a graceful, warm-looking woman. Hello, Mr. Leon. I'm your super diehard fan, Peter Parker. Today is my eight-year-old birthday. See, could you wish me a happy birthday? Peter, the woman gently scolded, you shouldn't make extra requests. Mr. Leon is very busy. I'm sorry, Mr. Leon. He's still young. A signature is enough. Leon looked at the boy. Nerdy, bright eyes, polite. And, before he could speak, the system triggered. Daily check-in available. System I. Check-in complete. Reward obtained. Ultra Instinct. Leon froze. Ultra Instinct. Description. As a mortal, you have stepped into a realm that even lesser gods struggle to reach. Yet this is only the beginning. Continue to transcend. Mechanics summary. When fully composed, performance stabilizes at peak autonomous efficiency. When under extreme life-threatening pressure, instinctual combat response escalates exponentially. For a fraction of a second, Leon's world slowed. Sound dampened. His senses sharpened beyond anything prior. Airflow, heartbeat, micro-muscle tension. Even the faint shift of Peter Parker's weight distribution registered with absolute clarity. It wasn't precognition. It wasn't speed. It was perfect reaction without thought. Autonomous motion beyond intention. His biofield trembled slightly. Not from activation. From resonance. Peter blinked up at him innocently. Leon stared back. Behind those bright eyes, something else flickered. An omen. Awakening. Leon smiled. Happy birthday, Peter. He signed the autograph. But internally, he knew this wasn't just a random child. And Ultra Instinct hadn't appeared by coincidence. The era of little spiders was about to begin. Number 80. The Little Spider and Aunt May.
Wow.
Golden Tier Pull. Leon had originally planned to wait until Spider-Man fully awakened before attempting a check-in. Who would have thought that even an unmutated Peter Parker could trigger a reward? Marvel's golden child indeed. The instant he obtained Ultra Instinct, Leon felt an almost forced calm wash over him, like everything was under absolute control. Yet as his body and mind stirred again, the sensation faded just as quickly as it had come. He would need time later to test it properly. His thoughts said in a flash. Leon returned his attention to reality. Peter was male, and an 8-year-old kid at that. Nothing particularly eye-catching there. So naturally, Leon's gaze settled on the still charming Aunt May. He had to admit something, even if it was slightly embarrassing. She recognized him before he recognized her significance. In the comics, Uncle Ben died when Peter was 15. In Spider-Man: Homecoming, the timeline wasn't far off either. But in this world, Uncle Ben had died when Peter was only 4. Peter barely remembered him. May had been raising him alone ever since. At this moment, she leaned lightly against the signing counter. Black sheer stockings beneath denim shorts, a sleeveless cropped top above. Her posture revealed elegant curves as she bent slightly forward, brows knit in apology, eyes still bold enough to meet Leon's directly. Mr. Leon, I'm so sorry. Peter's still young. A signature is more than enough. It's all right. Leon placed his hand gently over hers. Children are the world's treasure and its future. And you, Peter, he added warmly, you're destined to become a true hero. Happy birthday, my friend. He extended his hand. Peter's eyes lit up instantly. Thank you, Mr. Leon. The boy rubbed his hands nervously against his jeans and stretched up on tiptoe, trying desperately to reach Leon's hand across the counter. He couldn't quite make it. May instinctively tried to pull her hand away to lift Peter, but Leon rose first. He leaned forward and grasped Peter's hand firmly. At the same time, he gave May a subtle wink and leaned close enough for his breath to brush her ear. May I have the honor of knowing your name, beautiful lady? May? She swallowed. May Parker. Don't leave just yet, Leon murmured. Peter deserves a better birthday. His fingertips traced faint circles on the back of her hand. The touch was light, almost mosquito-like. But in the presence of hundreds of unaware onlookers, it burned. May felt dizzy. She murmured a soft agreement and quickly withdrew her hand before things escalated further. After they left the line, Leon returned to signing. Efficiently, mechanically. The brief interaction didn't frustrate the waiting fans. If anything, it deepened their admiration. Who could resist a man who was powerful, handsome, wealthy, playful, and kind to children? As for his colorful lifestyle, to Homelander's fanbase, that wasn't a flaw. That was accessibility. Talent? Welcomed. Beauty? Accepted on sight. Later, backstage, May sat with Peter asleep in her arms, chatting casually with R.C. Tifa. They seemed to get along surprisingly well. When Leon entered, R.C. offered him a knowing nod and gracefully excused herself. Mr. Leon. May attempted to stand. Her legs, numb from sitting too long, buckled. Careful. Leon blinked forward instantly. He steadied her with his torso, hands bracing her upper body to prevent a fall. Peter remained cradled against her. Oh, sorry. Leon withdrew his hands. And no, it was my fault. May avoided his gaze now. Peter stirred awake. Aunt May? Mr. Leon. Hey there, buddy. Leon smoothly took Peter into his arms and wiped the drool from the boy's mouth with a napkin. For a single mother, that sight hit harder than any pickup line. May's lips parted. No words came out. Leon continued chatting with Peter cheerfully. Behind his back, his observation Haki monitored every subtle shift in May's heartbeat and breathing. Children were often the greatest vulnerability for women who valued family. And Peter was May's entire world. Afterward, Leon offered to walk them home. "That's really not necessary," May said softly. She understood the implications of accepting. "Is Mr. Leon coming home with us?" Peter asked excitedly. "Yay." Leon smiled. "Peter seems happy about it." "May, do you really want the night to end so soon?" She hesitated, then nodded. "On the rooftop. Are we flying? How high can you go? Can you reach space? Are you faster than light? Could Superman beat you? Do you have a biofield too? Are you actually from Krypton?" Peter's chatter came nonstop. "Peter." May quickly covered his mouth. "I'm sorry." He gets excited. "I like that," Leon replied. "Outgoing children survive better in complicated worlds." He stepped closer, close enough that their noses were barely inches apart. May's breath hitched. "Don't." She thought he was about to kiss her in front of Peter. Before she could finish the sentence, Leon wrapped an arm around her waist. "Ready for takeoff, darling?" Peter raised his hand enthusiastically. "I'm ready." Leon laughed. "Then up we go." His biofield enveloped them. They launched skyward. Peter whooped in exhilaration. May nearly had a heart attack. Adrenaline surged. Instinctively, she clung tightly to Leon's waist, face pressed against his chest. She didn't even notice the subtle Leon grip he executed mid-flight. Leon exhaled quietly. This was the kind of vintage he appreciated. Gods who lived forever were a different category entirely. Number 81. Peter startles. "Aunt May, do I deserve an uncle?" Queens and Manhattan were barely 20 kilometers apart. At Leon's current speed, the trip could be completed in a blink. But Leon, being Leon, deliberately slowed things down. He looped lazily between boroughs, circling the skyline under the pretense of scenic routing, all while enjoying the warmth in his arms and indulging Peter's delighted laughter. Only after Peter fully adapted to high-speed flight, and May had processed what exactly she was doing pressed against Leon's chest, did he descend leisurely into an ordinary Queens neighborhood. Queens wasn't wealthy, nor was it poor. It was a working CLA*S mosaic, diverse, grounded, alive. A place where future best friends like Ned Leeds would one day grow up. "Did you have fun, Peter?" Leon asked after landing. "Yes." Peter nodded vigorously. May, however, had grown quiet. The adrenaline had faded. Reality had returned. She was already regretting how impulsively she had invited Leon in. Once their lives expanded to include someone like him, could they ever go back to normal? She wasn't naive. Leon's interest, no matter how genuine in the moment, might be fleeting. She wasn't young. She couldn't afford selfishness. Peter came first. "Aunt May." Peter squeezed her hand gently. "Are you not happy?" Leon, meanwhile, stood near the window, seemingly waiting. "I'm happy, Peter," May said softly, stroking his hair. Then, a distant mechanical roar. They looked out the window. Leon's jet glider hovered below, unmanned, carrying an enormous birthday cake taller than Peter himself. Wind rushed in as the window opened. Leon blurred. The next instant, the cake rested effortlessly in his single hand. "Is that for me?" Peter's eyes sparkled. "Of course, buddy." Leon ruffled his hair, then shot May a subtle wink. May forced a smile. "Peter, are you going to let Mr. Leon hold that cake forever?" "Clean the table." "Yes, ma'am." Peter saluted dramatically and swept his toys into a basket. 8 rainbow candles were placed and lit. "Make a wish," Leon said warmly. "Anything within my power." "Anything?" Peter asked. "Anything." Peter's eyes flicked between Leon and May. Then inspiration struck. "I wish Mr. Leon and Aunt May get together, so I can have an uncle." May choked. "Peter." She tapped his head gently. "Don't say things like that." "Oh, then I'll make another wish." She nodded approvingly, unaware that Peter had silently repeated the same wish in his heart. Flexible morals. Future Spider-Man energy already present. Peter blew out the candles, with Leon's help.
Cake was sliced.
But before anyone took a bite, Peter launched a cream attack.
Perfect aim.
One hand for Leon, one for May. May gasped. Leon retaliated immediately. Full coverage. Within seconds, a cream war erupted. Eventually, May joined in, laughing despite herself, sneaking in a playful swipe across Leon's face and abs. Children burn bright and fast. After exhausting themselves, Peter collapsed asleep before even tasting the cake. Leon and May carried him to the bathroom together. While rinsing him off, the shower head slipped. Water drenched both of them. They froze, met each other's eyes, said nothing, understood everything. After putting Peter to bed, Leon showered quickly in the guest bathroom. May did the same in hers. When they emerged, they met in the living room. Leon wore only his ultra-elastic fiber undergarment, quality indestructible. He looked sculpted from marble. May wore a thin silk nightdress. Tasteful.
Soft.
Devastating. They sat side by side. Silence stretched. Finally, Leon placed his hand over hers, intertwining their fingers.
May.
Listen to me. Peter wants an uncle. I can fill that place. For him. And for you. I'm afraid. There's nothing to fear. He lifted her chin gently. Look at me. Don't overthink. Just follow the rhythm. Time will prove everything. For Peter. And for you. I'm serious. May hesitated. Her heartbeat quickened. Her doubts remained, but her defenses were thinning. Leon leaned closer. He knew persuasion required patience. Tonight wasn't about conquest. It was about certainty. Outside, queens remained ordinary. Inside, something was quietly changing. And in the bedroom down the hall, Peter Parker slept peacefully, unaware that his wish might actually come true. Number 82. Cat Channel TV. Late at night, after May, thoroughly exhausted, fell into a deep sleep, Leon, very much awake and in excellent spirits, pulled out Bast's collar from his system storage. Smooth transition. Round 2 began. System. Grant access. The scene shifted instantly. Leon's consciousness projected into Bast's spiritual domain, the familiar endless mist rolling across a shadowed landscape. Come here, my little baby. The teasing tone immediately enraged the Black Panther Goddess. Roar. A Ma***Civ shadow lunged across the fog in a blink. By the time Leon's brain processed the incoming figure, Bast's gleaming claws were already less than a centimeter from his face. In the past, that strike would have left visible damage. But times change. Leon closed his eyes, emptied his mind. He did not think. He did not calculate. He simply moved. A seamless backward lean, his upper body bending almost parallel to the ground, let Bast's claws slice through empty space.
Missed.
Bast's eyes narrowed. She recognized it instantly. That state. That path. But she didn't hesitate. Her **salt intensified. Wind screamed. Claws that could rend vibranium tore through the mist with sonic booms. Yet, aside from shredding a corner of Leon's clothing, she couldn't touch him again. And Leon wasn't even fighting seriously. He was testing. Testing Ultra Instinct. When he confirmed that, at full health, his Ultra Instinct rivaled Peter Parker's future spider sense in pure defensive reaction, the cat-hunting lion game reached its turning point. Leon attacked, but now it was Bast evading. Most of his strikes met empty air. The few that landed failed to deliver decisive damage. Energy beams were too slow in such close-quarters tempo. They clashed. Ground to sky. Sky to ground. Mist churned. The black earth split and sealed again. Time lost meaning. Neither depleted. Neither overwhelmed. Still need work, Leon thought. At full health, Ultra Instinct granted flawless defense, but offense remained limited. Not yet effortless. If he wanted to make her cry, he'd need to escalate. Leon halted midair. Surveyed the mist. Playtime's over, darling. A powerful BGM erupted seamlessly. Ultimate battle. Now, the fool would fight. Perspective snapped. When Leon regained awareness, he was no longer in Bast's domain. He was back in reality. The sensation was akin to lost time, as if combat had been skipped entirely. Before him, kneeling respectfully, was a tall woman with coffee-toned skin, silver-gray hair cascading down her back, long elven-like ears, and an undeniably commanding presence.
Bast.
In human form, the system chimed. Notice. Bast's collar information updated. Leon checked. Bast's collar. Status. Bound to Bast, the Panther Goddess effect. Having been subdued by her strength, she offers eternal loyalty quality. Indestructible note. The Master accepts. The cat remains forever. Bast may be stored within system storage along with the collar. Leon looked back at her. Her attire was minimal. Below, black shorts accentuating powerful, panther-like legs. Above, a dark fitted garment beneath a loose, shoulder-bearing top that emphasized rather than concealed her form. She raised her head, expression cool, but her voice burned with intensity. Master, teach me. Her gray-blue eyes held something raw. Not fear. Not submission. Aspiration. Leon crouched before her, lifted her chin lightly. Tell me, can you seize your future? Bast clasped his hand firmly. This body belongs to the Master. I have already seized my future. Leon smiled faintly. Good. He tapped her cheek lightly. The Panther Goddess.
Tamed.
Leon discovered that although the collar could not be removed, it could be hidden within the body or manifested anywhere externally. Bast, displaying surprising aesthetic sense, chose to manifest it as a thigh ring. Stylish. Elegant. Powerfully symbolic. Time Pa asterisk said quickly. Very quickly. Number 83. That which fell from the heavens. The next morning, when May woke up, she instinctively checked her phone. Oh, shoot. It's already noon? Peter, you're supposed to be at school. She scrambled into her clothes and rushed out of the bedroom, only to find Peter already wide awake in the living room. Not just awake. Chasing a cat. A pitch-black cat with sleek, flawless fur. Or rather,
Being toyed with by one.
Peter was already dusty and disheveled from lunging attempts, while the cat moved with effortless grace, dodging every grab before lightly leaping onto his head.
Meow.
Human cub, you're too slow. Try again in 20,000 years. All right, that's enough, Leon said lazily. Picking on kids at your age? He casually pinched the back of Bast's neck and lifted her up, placing her on his shoulder before running a smooth hand down her fur. Purr. Bast instantly melted into a contented rumble, tail curling upward. Mr. Leon, I want to pet her too, Peter said hopefully. Better get your own cat one day, Leon chuckled. This one's special. Then I'll get a pure black one too. Leon blinked. Was this where Peter's future aesthetic preferences started forming? Peter. May hurried over, stuffing books into his backpack. You still have school. Do I really have to go now? Peter asked, hiding behind Leon. He'd summed oversleeping meant a free day. Of course you do. May tried to grab him. But Peter performed a perfect king of chain circles the pillar maneuver around Leon. Mr. Leon, help me. Leon stepped in smoothly, placing himself between them. Then, without hesitation, he wrapped an arm around May's waist and brushed a quick kiss against her lips. Relax, he said lightly. One skip day won't ruin him. As long as he can read and do math, play should be his main job. And, honestly, even if Peter grows up completely useless, my sets are enough for him to waste 10 lifetimes. He doesn't need to treat school like a lifeline. But. May flushed bright red, words tangling in her throat. Whoa, Peter's eyes sparkled. Aunt May, does that mean I'm getting an uncle? Peter. She shot him a warning look. Leon raised a finger to her lips, because, at that exact moment, RC had just informed him of something interesting. Last night, a hammer had fallen from the sky. No one could lift it. Locals were calling it the hero's hammer. If someone could pick it up, they would supposedly ascend to legend. The story had already gone viral. Leon smiled faintly. May, Why don't we take Peter on a short trip instead? Uncle Leon, are we going somewhere fun? Peter immediately caught on. How about New Mexico? Yes, anywhere but school.
May sighed. Fine.
Do whatever you two want. Truthfully, she didn't want the time to end either. New Mexico. S.H.I.E.L.D. satellites had detected an unidentified object entering the atmosphere the previous night. Severe electromagnetic interference prevented precise tracking. But once the hero's hammer rumors spread online, S.H.I.E.L.D. locked onto the location immediately. Agent Phil Coulson arrived first in his upgraded flying car, Lola. At the scene, an elderly man had chained the hammer's handle to his pickup truck, trying to tow it. The truck bed had nearly torn off. The hammer hadn't budged. It sat at the center of a 25-meter crater, as if the crater itself had been carved by its fall. "Sir, I found it," Coulson reported over the phone. "Motherf." Nick Fury's voice growled from the other end. "Are aliens just dumping their trash on Earth now? If I ever get the chance, I'm sending our nuclear waste right back to their backyard." "Sir, I believe this situation exceeds Agent Barton and Romanoff's capabilities. We may need to contact Mr. Leon." "Hey, Coulson. Looking for me?" Coulson froze. Leon stood behind him, with May and Peter in tow. "Mr. Leon. And these are—" "May and Peter," Leon replied calmly. "My family." He held Peter in one arm, May close with the other. A picture-perfect trio. Coulson didn't comment. He briefed Leon on everything S.H.I.E.L.D. knew. After listening, Leon waved dismissively. "I'll handle it. None of you are his match." "His?" Coulson echoed. Leon didn't elaborate. In a near blink, he and his companions were at the crater's edge. The old man was still fiddling with his damaged truck bed. Others stood nearby, eyes fixed on the hammer. But Leon approached the old man instead. "Need a hand, old friend?" Before the question fully left his mouth, the truck bed was already reattached. The old man stared, then gasped. "Homelander, I'm your biggest fan." He dramatically pulled open his shirt, revealing a faded Superman logo underneath. Leon's eyelid twitched. He didn't correct him. Instead, he signed his name across the wrinkled Superman emblem, in a way that counted as victory. Number 84. The Return Rune, Thor Leon. As promised, one bonus chapter. Afterward, Leon took a bit of time to escort the slightly senile old man home, marking the location along the way. As for checking in, Leon had encountered several incarnations of Stan Lee before. The rewards were usually comic drafts and memorabilia. Maybe there were good pulls hidden in that pool. But the sheer volume of comic-related junk severely diluted the odds. He'd never gotten anything worthwhile from it. Still, he checked in occasionally. If one day it turned out to be the Watcher in disguise, that would be insane. When Leon returned to the crater, S.H.I.E.L.D. had fully secured the perimeter. He brought May and Peter down into the pit and asked Coulson, "Everyone tried?" Coulson nodded. "Everyone on site. No one could move it." "Is that so?" Leon raised a brow. Bast immediately understood and leapt from his shoulder onto May's. Leon stepped forward and gripped the handle of Mjolnir. He pulled. Boom. Under the protection of his biofield, the ground within several hundred meters trembled violently, sinking a few centimeters. Mjolnir did not budge. Leon narrowed his eyes, expanded the biofield's protection radius to several kilometers. Armament Haki fully activated. He triggered the full 50% final strength boost. "Brace yourselves." Muscles tightened. He exerted force. Rumble. The earth groaned louder. Coulson lost his footing and fell flat. But May and Peter stood unaffected. Around them, a faint dark domain radiated from Bast, subtly stabilizing their surroundings. The ground sank another centimeter. The force was exponentially greater. Mjolnir remained unmoved. Leon exhaled slowly. "Odin, you old monster." Even near death. Still terrifying.
No. Precisely because he was near death.
Daily check-in available. System. Leon muttered mentally. Is it the older, the stronger? Or the stronger, the older? Answer me. Check-in complete. Reward obtained. Return rune. Return rune type. One-time enchantment effect. Enchant any weapon. Once called, it returns to you at maximum speed, regardless of distance. Quality, consumable. Flavor text. Even a return rune cannot bring back the heart that chose to leave you. Not what I wanted, but usable. Leon immediately enchanted his infinite ammo Desert Eagle, indestructible. Its status updated. Enchantment. Return rune. Now that was interesting. He pocketed the pistol and turned. Wanna try? I'll ***. May declined quickly. If Leon couldn't lift it, she certainly couldn't. I wanna try. Peter rushed forward. Leon smiled and stepped aside. Pure-hearted children sometimes had better odds than complicated adults. Peter placed his hand on the hammer. The sky darkened instantly. Thunder rolled. Leon's eyes narrowed. That's not normal. He stepped forward to shield Peter.
Boom.
A lightning bolt, as thick as a water tank, slammed down from the heavens. It had been aimed at Peter, but Leon's ultra instinct reacted instantly. He activated energy absorption, transforming into a human lightning rod. The colossal bolt diverted midair and poured into Leon's body. For a brief moment, it felt like bathing in divine thunder beyond even Satan's sun levels. But he wasn't harmed. Every cell in his body devoured the energy, like a starving man after centuries of famine. Then, a silver armor manifested. Instantly equipped. Red cape unfurled behind him. The lightning faded. Leon stared at the dragon scale-like silver plating covering his arms. You are you. Forged from you are you. Empowered by Odin Force. Thor's armor. Peter had been recognized. He had unknowingly triggered Mjolnir's divine power. And Leon, by accident, had hijacked the transfer. He'd glitched the system. Holy. May rushed over, scooping up Peter. Mjolnir lifted briefly with Peter, then slipped from his grasp.
It fell.
And Leon instinctively caught it. And this time, it didn't resist. That's a big glitch. He stared at the perfectly balanced hammer in his hand. Not a dream. May clung to him, shaken. Peter, stunned. After that, May insisted on leaving. No more adventures today. Leon didn't resist. Partly because she was frightened. Partly because he suddenly remembered. The real Thor was somewhere nearby. Approaching him with girlfriend and kid in tow? Not ideal for recruitment. So he agreed. To cheer Peter up, Leon handed him one of the previously obtained helicarrier models. Peter's sadness evaporated instantly. In the crater, S.H.I.E.L.D. agents stared at the now empty patch of ground. Coulson blinked. He looked up at the sky. Sir, he said slowly into his calm, we may have a development. Far away, Nick Fury pinched the bridge of his nose. Don't tell me. Coulson swallowed. Leon is now holding the hammer. Silence. Long silence. Then, Motherf. The line cut off. Number 85. Tales of Asgard, as promised, one bonus chapter. Some time earlier, at the heart of the Nine Realms, Asgard. After more than 15 centuries of conquest in Asgard's name, Thor Odinson, at the height of his prime, was finally to inherit the throne from his father, Odin Allfather. He was strong,
Brave. Proud.
a peerless warrior, beloved by the people. With Mjolnir, forged in the heart of a dying star, in hand, none could stand before him. Yet his brother, Loki, could not bear it. Had Odin not once said that both sons were worthy of kingship? Why, then, was Loki reduced to a spectator at Thor's coronation? Resentment festered. So Loki secretly revealed to Laufey, king of the Frost Giants, a hidden path that *** said the Bifrost and led into Asgard. On the day of Thor's ascension, Frost Giants infiltrated Odin's vault to create chaos. Though they were ultimately destroyed by the Destroyer armor, the ceremony was disrupted, exactly as Loki intended. Loki then provoked Thor, already enraged, into leading the warriors 3 to Jotunheim, realm of the Frost Giants. There, they were surrounded by the entire Frost Giant host. Thor held his own with Mjolnir, but his companions faltered. And in battle, Loki discovered something horrifying. He was immune to frost, a trait only frost giants possessed. His world tilted. If his heritage were exposed, he would lose everything. When all seemed lost, Odin arrived astride Sleipnir, descending through the Bifrost in divine radiance. Thor demanded they wipe out the frost giants entirely. Odin refused. He was old, too old. Even godly power could not halt the march of fate. He returned them to Asgard. Father and son clashed in fury. Odin stripped Thor of his power, banished him to Midgard, Earth. There, powerless, Thor would have time to reflect. Odin then enchanted Mjolnir. Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor, and hurled it toward Earth. A trial, a path to rebirth. After Thor's exile, Loki attempted to recruit the warriors three. They saw through him, rejected him. Bitter and confused, Loki entered Odin's vault and touched the casket of ancient winters. His skin turned icy blue. The truth became undeniable. He was frost giant by blood. Odin confronted him. "What am I to you?" Loki demanded. "No matter what you are," Odin replied. "You are my son." Then, the All-Father fell into the Odin sleep. With Odin unconscious and Thor banished, Loki, wielding the spear of Odin Gungnir, became acting king. He resolved, if Thor never returned, if Jotunheim were destroyed entirely, his secret would die with them, and Loki would rule unchallenged. But Queen Frigga revealed the truth. Mjolnir was Thor's key. This was a test, not abandonment. Loki's heart twisted. Father, why always him? The hammer, the throne, everything. He made his decision. He would go to Midgard and ensure Thor never returned. Meanwhile, Earth. Thor landed in New Mexico, stripped of divinity, reduced to a slightly stronger than average man. He was promptly hit by a van driven by astrophysicist Jane Foster, who had been studying strange atmospheric phenomena caused by the Bifrost. Her in turn, Darcy Lewis, mistook him for a deranged cosplayer and tossed him unconscious. They brought him to a hospital. Thor awoke briefly, fought off multiple staff members, and was sedated again. Jane left after paying the medical bill. But later, while reviewing photos of the anomaly, Darcy noticed something. A figure at the center of the disturbance. Jane's intuition flared. She drove back. That man, he might be the answer. Then, bam! Her SUV stopped instantly. From 70 miles per hour to 0. Holy! It's Homelander! Darcy shrieked. Standing before the vehicle, blocking it with one arm, was Leon. Silver armor gleaming, red cape stirring. He cast a long shadow over the fallen Thor, who sat on the dirt in hospital scrubs. Leon extended a hand. Hey, buddy. You okay? You've got to watch for traffic. You might accidentally hit the jackpot. On that subject, Leon had experience. Number 86. Leon, your identity is whatever you say it is when you're away from home. Facing the sun was blinding. Thor raised a hand to shield his eyes. Once his vision adjusted and he saw the man's attire and the hammer in his hand, his expression twisted as if someone had stolen his wife. No, impossible. That's my hammer. Why is it in your hand? Oh, that's a long story, my friend, Leon said with a smile. Right in front of Thor, he casually stroked Mjolnir twice, like some bold repeat offender. Strangely enough, it really did feel satisfying. It reminded Leon of that time in the boys' universe when he was training Starlight in how to use her powers, only to get caught red-handed by Huey. No. The more he thought about it, the more vivid it became. Leon decided that when he had the time, he should pay another visit to the boys' world, erect a proper cenotaph for Huey, then have a friendly little sparring session with Starlight in front of it. There were still areas left undeveloped. He meant her superpowers, of course. If it's your hammer, Leon said, why is it in my hand? And can you lift it now? With that, Leon tossed Mjolnir to the ground in front of Thor. Ah. Still dressed in blue and white hospital scrubs, Thor got to his feet and grabbed the handle. His face turned red as a baboon's backside from the strain. Mjolnir didn't budge an inch. Thud. Thor collapsed back onto the ground in despair, muttering, "Impossible. How can this be? It's my hammer. Father, you cannot do this to me. See, I told you. Even if I believe it's yours, it clearly doesn't care about you. I only managed to lift it because of certain circumstances." Leon crooked a finger. The hammer that Thor couldn't move no matter how hard he tried immediately flew back into Leon's hand as obediently as a house pet, clearly accustomed to the grip of Leon's palm. Of course, Leon knew the truth. The moment he ran out of stamina, the moment he lost this bugged, borrowed fragment of Thor's power, Mjolnir would turn its back on him without hesitation. But, at least for now, it was his. There was an old saying, "Love begins with the chime of the bell. When the bell stops, the love lingers unresolved." Though that second half didn't really apply to Leon. Most of the time, he was the type to walk away, without looking back, once it was over. "Oh my God. Homelander, I'm your biggest fan." Overcome with excitement, Darcy Lewis had barely taken 2 steps after getting out of the car before the weight of her impressive future left her slightly out of breath. The moment she saw Leon, her eyes practically turned into hearts. She launched herself at him like an overenthusiastic octopus, bold and unrestrained. "Oh, sweetheart, you nearly scared me." Leon immediately tossed Mjolnir aside and activated both hands in what could only be described as the Leon grip, barely managing to catch Darcy's spectacular embrace. Behind her, Jane Foster and Dr. Eric Selvig stepped out of the car. Seeing Darcy practically offering herself up like that, the two could only face-bomb in silence. Inside a restaurant, Thor stared at Mjolnir on the table, utterly defeated that he still couldn't lift it. He converted his grief into appetite and began devouring the food in front of him. When he finished his drink, he smashed the cup on the floor and boomed for another. Jane Foster seriously wondered whether he was some Viking who had accidentally wandered into modern society. That said, the man was undeniably handsome, broad-shouldered, and powerful. Even standing next to the world-famous Homelander, Leon Stark, he wasn't overshadowed. "This drink is excellent." Another. Smash. Another GLA*S shattered on the floor. "Can you please stop smashing them?" Jane said, exasperated. "All you have to do is raise your hand and call Iggy. She'll come over." "This is such a waste." "It's fine." Leon waved generously. "I bought this restaurant. And the entire town. You can smash every building here if you like, as long as nobody gets hurt." Sitting back in his chair while Darcy gave him a very hands-on shoulder *sage and hand-fed him food, Leon looked perfectly at ease. Fame had its perks. Wherever he went, someone was eager to take care of him. Well, in that case, do whatever you want," Jane said after hearing about Leon's financial superpower. Thor, however, seemed to have taken her earlier complaint to heart and stopped smashing GLA*SES. "So," Leon said, pointing at Thor, who was still inhaling food, "you found him at the center of last night's electromagnetic storm?" "That's right," Jane nodded. "He claims he's Thor from Norse mythology, that he came here via the Bifrost. But in reality, he's just a slightly hot-tempered man with unusual strength. The Bifrost has never been proven to exist. What puzzles me is that our photos from the center of the storm show a silhouette. And the only person we found there was him. If Stark Industries could support our research, I'm sure we could make a breakthrough." Somehow, Jane had smoothly pivoted into a sponsorship pitch. After all, Leon Stark was sitting right in front of her. An opportunity like this was rare. "The Bifrost does exist," Thor cut in. "My father banished me to this realm through it. I must reclaim Mjolnir, return to Asgard, and demand justice from him. And there is still the threat of the frost giants from Jotunheim." "You're delusional," Jane said. "That's a medical condition. You should get it treated." She was about to insist on taking Thor to a proper hospital when Leon raised a hand. "He's telling the truth. Norse mythology on Earth is based on real events. Thor and Odin the All-Father are real. And they have visited Earth before. There are even records of it in the library of Kamartaj." The moment Leon finished speaking, Thor slammed the table excitedly. So Midgard still has men of wisdom. Warrior of Midgard who can wield Mjolnir, state your name. Since you insist, Leon cleared his throat dramatically, the corners of his mouth curling upward. I am the Supreme Guardian of Midgard, the strongest direct disciple of the Sorcerer Supreme at Camartage, protector of humanity, leader of the Avengers, true master of Midgard's greatest fortune, twin brother of Iron Man Tony Stark, chosen champion of Bast, the Panther Goddess, and the most beloved superhero among the people, Homelander, Leon Stark. The three others fell into stunned silence. Their jaws hung open, forgetting to close. That title was probably longer than most villains' lifespans. Your turn, Leon said to Thor.
Ah.
Thor blinked, pointing at himself. Brother, after that, what am I even supposed to say? Number 87. Leon, is unattainable love the loneliest of all? I am Thor, son of Odin the Allfather, heir to the throne of Asgard, and the rightful wielder of Mjolnir. Thor replied, though for some reason he sounded slightly less confident than before. Each of his titles carried real weight, but compared to Leon's absurdly long introduction, they felt short. In sheer momentum, he had already lost. So, perhaps longer really was better. He meant titles, of course. Puffed. Did you just say you're the master of Meow Meow Hammer? Your hammer's name is Meow Meow? Having misheard Mjolnir, Darcy Lewis burst out laughing, then quickly covered her mouth, trying to appear polite. Did you just laugh? Thor narrowed his eyes suspiciously. Puffed, no. I've had professional training. No matter how funny something is, I will not laugh. Darcy shook her head vigorously in denial. Her entire body, especially certain very noticeable parts, was trembling with the effort of suppressing her grin. But beside her, Jane Foster and Dr. Eric Selvig completely lost it. Ha 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 ha, ×2. Why is your hammer called Meow Meow? Is it your pet? Darcy asked innocently. No offense. I'm just curious. Now that someone else had laughed first, she didn't feel the urge quite as strongly. It's Mjolnir, Thor corrected sternly. It is my weapon and my comrade in arms. Not a pet. To his credit, the Prince of Asgard didn't lose his temper over the mispronunciation. Instead, he turned toward the man who had effectively claimed both his hammer and his armor. Leon Stark, Guardian of Midgard. Because of my recklessness, Jotunheim has declared war on Asgard. I must reclaim Mjolnir and return to defend my people. Bro, Leon replied casually. I believe Thor and Odin the Allfather exist. But that doesn't automatically mean I believe you're Thor. You'll need proof. Otherwise, you wouldn't want just any random guy claiming to be Thor coming over to try lifting this hammer, right? Fair point. Thor fell silent. Leon wasn't wrong. Words alone were hardly enough to convince the guardian of an entire realm. Yet with Odin having sealed his power, words were all he had. In this mortal body, he was far too weak. All right, Leon said thoughtfully. I'll ask you a few questions. Answer correctly, and I'll acknowledge you as Thor. The Library of Camartage contains many secret records about Asgard. Of course, that was complete nonsense. Though Camartage's library was vast, Leon had only ever opened the first page of Beginner's Guide to Basic Sorcery, and promptly abandoned it. Anyone familiar with the word abandon would understand. Using Camartage as an information source was basically his version of Conan's I learned it in Hawaii excuse. And invoking the Ancient One as cover worked beautifully. After all, she wasn't going to call him out. They were practically family. Ask, Thor said, sitting upright after wiping his mouth. He had to earn Leon's trust. Jane, Darcy, and Selvig had already summed the posture of enthusiastic onlookers. The waitress even brought them a plate of sliced watermelon. Rapid-fire questions, Leon announced. No hesitation. Not even 1 second. From his system storage space, he produced a novelty gavel he had once signed in from an Ace Attorney collaboration event and slammed it onto the table. Bang. Bang. First question. What is the average lifespan of an Asgardian? 5,000 years. Correct. Bang. Bang. Second question. Name the treasures in Odin's vault and its guardian. The casket of ancient winters, the orb of Agamotto, the tablet of life and time, the eternal flame, the infinity gauntlet, and the guardian is the destroyer armor. Correct.
Bang. Bang.
Third question. What controls the destroyer armor? Gungnir, the spear of Odin. Correct.
Bang. Bang.
Fourth question. Who are the warriors 3? Volstagg, Hogun, and Fandral. Correct.
Bang. Bang.
Fifth question. Are you married to Lady Sif? No. Correct.
Bang. Bang.
Final question. What color undergarments does Lady Sif usually wear? Black. Oh, ×4. Thor's mouth answered before his brain caught up. The moment he realized what he had just said, it was too late. Leon and the 3 melon-eating spectators wore identical gossip-fueled expressions of instant understanding. Without giving Thor time to recover, Leon swiftly grabbed Mjolnir and used it like a ceremonial sword, tapping each of Thor's shoulders. Congratulations, he said solemnly. Thor Odinson, you have said the test. By the authority vested in me as Guardian of Midgard, Homelander, Leon Stark, I acknowledge you as Thor, God of Thunder. And from this day forward, you are a member of the Avengers. The Avengers? Thor frowned. Why would I, Thor Odinson, join a mortal organization? His face practically screamed, absolutely not. As future king of Asgard, how could he place himself under human command? You don't want the hammer back? Leon tilted his head with a smirk, casually twirling Mjolnir. As fellow protectors of the 9 realms, Thor immediately corrected himself with great dignity. I would be honored to join Midgard's defensive alliance. For Mjolnir, he was willing to elubricate his principles slightly. After that, the two discussed how to remove Thor's power from Leon. Yes. As powerful as the Thor force was, there was a rather awkward issue. Leon had obtained it through a bug exploit, and now he had no idea how to turn it off. He'd even asked Peter Parker to try lifting the hammer to reverse the effect, no luck. Thor's armor clung to him as if it had fused to his body. Leon even attempted to use his super self-regeneration to alter his body shape and slip out through the collar. The armor simply reshaped with him, tightly encasing him no matter what. Magic was incredibly convenient when it worked, and a complete nightmare when it didn't. The real tragedy? He couldn't even have a friendly sparring match with certain companions. He was reduced to looking, talking, and at best touching. It was practically monkhood. Sure, he could theoretically regenerate an alternative configuration from his head, but forget whether anyone else would accept that. He'd gross himself out first. He even tried calling his master. She claimed she was vacationing on a beach in the Maldives and told him to handle it himself. As if opening a portal required more than a flick of the wrist. Life was hard. Brother, I cannot help you with this, Thor admitted after multiple failed attempts to lift Mjolnir again. He patted Leon's shoulder sympathetically. You will have to travel to Asgard. Only my father can undo it. Sigh. Leon lowered his head and glanced downward in quiet melancholy. I suppose there's no other way, he muttered. I already have a plan. Number 88. Loki's deception. Thor's regret. Because Thor still could not lift Mjolnir and had yet to pass as Odin's trial. No matter how he called out to Heimdall or begged him to open the Bifrost, nothing happened. Heimdall, acting under Odin's prior command, ignored him completely. With no other choice, Thor accepted Leon's proposal and agreed to follow his plan. Night fell. Midnight said. Mjolnir, returned to the impact crater and placed under routine shield surveillance, remained undisturbed. Thor, meanwhile, was nominally taken into shield custody. Leon quickly grew impatient. He had RC and Bast keep watch in the shadows while he slipped away after casually brushing a hand against Thor, then promptly clocked out to entertain himself. Prompt, do you wish to perform today's daily sign-in? System, for the glory of the Norse gods. Open.
Ding.
Daily sign-in complete. Congratulations, host. You have obtained Stormfront Template. Stormfront Template. Enhanced superhuman physiology. Balanced overall amplification. Lifespan increased tenfold. Abilities include plasma lightning generation, plasma manipulation, plasma detonation. The upper limits depend entirely on the user's physical aptitude and mastery. Description: good child. Visit home more often. Leon had initially summed it referred to Storm of the X-Men. Turns out it was Stormfront from the boys. Still, this version's template provided a more substantial boost to physical attributes, making it better suited to Leon's transcend through the flesh path. Even a small drumstick was still meat. In short, Leon had grown stronger again. He felt like firing off a Getsuga Tensho just to celebrate. Ah, damn it, this cursed armor. The moment his mood rose, the Thor armor fused to his body forcibly calmed him back down. That only made him more irritated. His figure flickered. In the next instant, he appeared inside Jane Foster's SUV, holding a completely bewildered Darcy Lewis, fresh out of the shower, wrapped in nothing but a white towel that barely concealed her very impressive future. At this hour, Jane and Dr. Selvig were too excited to sleep. Having secured Leon's verbal sponsorship, they were in the motel enthusiastically discussing the electromagnetic anomalies caused by the Bifrost with several S.H.I.E.L.D. scientists. No one would notice what was happening here. Mr. Leon, Darcy tried to speak, but Leon covered her mouth. Darling, I'm in trouble, help me. What? Before she could process anything, Leon hooked her with a single finger and shot into the sky. His speed was so extreme that no afterimage remained. The newly acquired Stormfront template enhanced his velocity tremendously, no less than the Starlight template. The plasma lightning properties even added a faint tingling sensation during flight. Under layered enhancements, Leon's speed became virtually immeasurable. Protected by his biofield, Darcy suffered no harm whatsoever. Instead, caught between speed and adrenaline, her senses overwhelmed, her vision blurred, and as Leon accelerated further and further, she eventually fainted. Afterward, phew. Leon gently lowered the motion-sick Darcy to the ground, ensuring she landed safely and wouldn't suffer further stimulation. He exhaled deeply. His normally melancholic gaze was now startlingly clear, almost enlightened. Excellent. I think I'm starting to understand everything. However, on the first night of lying in wait, Loki did not appear. Leon guessed he was consolidating power in Asgard, preparing for his official ascension. It wasn't until 2:30 a.m. the following night that RC suddenly whispered in Leon's ear, "He's here." Perfect timing. A faint smile curved Leon's lips. After carrying the unconscious Darcy back to her room, he transformed into a streak of intertwined violet, blue, and gold light, and shot toward the impact crater where Thor and Mjolnir were being held. S.H.I.E.L.D's temporary base, built around the meteor crater created by Mjolnir. Thor's holding room. Thor had only lowered his head briefly, fighting off drowsiness, when a familiar voice reached his ears. He snapped awake instantly. Thor. Loki. How are you here? Have the frost giants of Jotunheim attacked? Let me explain to father. Thor leapt to his feet, hope and dread mingling in his voice. After all, in his current state, unable to lift Mjolnir, he was little more than a prisoner. But Loki's first words silenced him. Father is dead. What? I said father is dead. You angered him to death. You know he was already old. The incident with Jotunheim drained his final strength. Shortly after banishing you, he succumbed to the strain. His soul has entered Valhalla. No, it shouldn't be like this. Thor's disbelief held both performance and genuine emotion. Odin's life had indeed reached its twilight. Entering Valhalla at any moment would not have been impossible. I know you loved him. I tried to persuade him, but he was blinded by fury. Nothing I said mattered. Asgard cannot accept a king responsible for the death of the former monarch. And so, the burden has fallen to me. Loki's expression was 3 parts grief, 7 parts desolation. Flawless. May I return home? Thor asked, eyes wet, voice breaking. I'm sorry, brother, Loki replied heavily. The condition for peace with Jotunheim was your permanent exile. Mother does not wish to forgive you. You are not permitted to return. No. Thor collapsed, clutching his head. Whatever plan he had discussed with Leon was overwhelmed by genuine remorse. Whether Loki spoke truth or lie, Thor knew that if he had continued down his former reckless path, this outcome would not have been impossible. Even if his mother forgave him, he would never forgive himself. "I came to say farewell, brother," Loki said, voice trembling. "I'm sorry I can do nothing more." "No." Thor lifted his head and said sincerely, "I am the one who should apologize. I have always ignored your feelings. You are more worthy of Asgard's throne than I. Thank you for coming to see me one last time, Loki." At those words, Loki turned away. His face flickered with regret before settling into resolution. Having grown up beside Thor, he could sense the sincerity in his brother's voice. The words he had always longed to hear had come, just at the worst possible time. But the arrow was already knocked. "Forgive me, brother. Grow old in this free prison called Midgard. Asgard has no place for you anymore." Silently offering one last apology, Loki steeled himself and departed without looking back. Above the ceiling of Thor's holding room, "He's leaving. Should we apprehend him now?" R.C. whispered urgently. "No," said Bast, currently in her feline form, wedged comfortably beside R.C. "That was merely a magical projection. I sensed no life force from it. Master predicted he would attempt to lift the hammer. We wait for him to act. Then we move." Understood. In matters of magic and divinity, Bast's expertise far exceeded R.C.'s. R.C. had no issue following her lead. Number 89. Let thunder shatter the darkness. At the center of the crater, Loki grasped the handle of Mjolnir and gave it 2 forceful tugs. TCH. As expected, "I can't lift it." He released it, silently cursing. At least this time, Odin hadn't played favorites. Neither he nor Thor could lift the hammer. Loki suddenly frowned, glancing around. The surrounding humans were dispersing, as if anticipating something incoming. That made no sense. He had already cloaked himself in illusion magic. They shouldn't have been able to see him at all. Then, a primal sense of doom struck him, like a prehistoric dinosaur staring up at an incoming extinction-level meteor. From above, he looked up, and his pupils shrank violently. A meteor streaking in violet, blue, and gold was diving straight at his face. In an instant, Mjolnir flew back into Leon's hand. And then, he brought it down. Thunder roared. Lightning split the sky. It felt as though the heavens themselves had collapsed. To avoid harming civilians, Leon compressed the destructive radius with his biofield, funneling every ounce of force directly into Loki and the ground beneath him. In the next second, where Mjolnir had once rested, there now yawned a bottomless abyss several meters wide, like a miniature black hole carved into the earth. Leon was just about to dive down and finish the job when the hammer in his hand suddenly went out of control. It yanked him sideways at terrifying speed, and in a blink, he was standing in front of Thor, who was still clutching his head in despair. Drawn by the Thor force within him, Leon didn't even have time to let go. Neither Leon nor Thor had anticipated this. "Mjolnir." Thor looked up in confusion. "What the hell are you doing?" Leon growled, gripping the hammer tightly. But Mjolnir kept pulling toward Thor, as if it had sobered up after its fling with Leon and now desperately wanted to return to its rightful owner. Crackle, snap. The Thor force inside Leon began to surge wildly, spilling out uncontrollably toward Thor. Damn it. Why now of all times? R.C.
Bast.
Keep Loki pinned. Yes. ×2. 2 crisp voices echoed from above. The ceiling exploded. R.C., already in combat mode, and Bast in her towering panther form dropped beside Leon. After giving him a respectful nod, Bast, standing at nearly 2.5 meters tall on all fours, swiped R.C. with a powerful paw. A literal physical boost. R.C. rocketed forward like a missile. Bast blurred into motion right behind her. Seeing Mjolnir so eager to abandon him, Leon snapped. From his system storage space, he pulled out his personal treasure, the indestructible infinite ammo Desert Eagle, and smashed it down onto the hammer. Boom. Crack. A sieve dent formed in Mjolnir's head. Spiderweb fractures spread across its surface as it finally calmed down. To Leon's surprise, the cracks only lasted a moment. Bathed in the Thor force leaking from his body, the hammer's damage rapidly repaired itself, flawless as if nothing had happened. As long as the core structure remained intact, it seemed capable of self-restoration, which explained why Hela had needed to shatter it completely in Thor, Ragnarok. Impatient, huh? I'll show you impatient. After scolding the now obedient Mjolnir, Leon tossed it aside like garbage, back to Thor, who caught it in stunned disbelief. How did you even do that? Thor demanded. How else? Leon shrugged. My gun's harder than your hammer. Right. Thor twitched slightly. He understood. Thor, catch. Leon stopped restraining the Thor force within him. He released it completely. Lightning poured out of his body and surged into Thor, whose mouth still hung open in shock. Moments later, Thor, God of Thunder, was fully restored. Leon, now reduced to wearing only his ultra-elastic fiber undergarment, quickly swapped back into his soldier boy suit. He had just strapped his shield onto his arm when two beams shot toward him and Thor. Fwoosh. ×2. Leon tilted his head, effortlessly dodging the thicker beam aimed at him. The seemingly weaker beam blasted Thor away mid-swing as he tried to counter with Mjolnir. Apologies, Leon Master. RC and Bast returned to his side. Neither appeared injured, though frost clung to them and their expressions were serious. That weapon is troublesome. Leon raised an eyebrow. Following their gaze,
He saw Loki.
fully armored in Asgardian leather battle gear, wearing his horned helm, Gungnir in hand. Around his neck hung a pendant containing a miniature casket of ancient winters. Behind him loomed the towering destroyer armor. One of the horns on Loki's helm was visibly dented inward, right where Leon had struck earlier. He had been fully armed the entire time, simply disguised by illusion magic. He stepped forward slowly. You dare show such insolence before a god? Loki slammed Gungnir against the ground. Kneel! The command thundered across the crater. Leon couldn't help himself. He burst out laughing. Were you just meowing? You. Loki, wait, listen. Thor spun Mjolnir and flew back to Leon's side. But Loki had no interest in listening. I had already given up. Thor, this is your doing. He roared at his brother, clearly attributing Leon's earlier hammer strike to Thor. What? Thor looked utterly baffled. Events had spiraled so far beyond his understanding that his brain felt like it was overheating. He genuinely didn't understand. Number 90. Loki, I want to go home TT. However, when Thor noticed the miniature casket of ancient winters hanging at Loki's chest, suspended by a chain forged from Uru, linking its twin handles together, he immediately lost his composure. Loki, the casket can only be wielded by the frost giants. Why are you carrying it? The killing intent he had suppressed toward Thor resurfaced. Loki stopped pretending. His skin shifted into the deep blue hue of the frost giants, markings glowing faintly as he fully revealed the truth. At this point, can't you see it yet, brother? There's only one answer. I was born to be king, just like you. I am the rightful king of the frost giants. He leveled Gungnir toward Thor. Destroyer, crush him. Fwoosh. The destroyer armor immediately unleashed a blazing crimson beam from its facial aperture, thick as a tree trunk. Thor, still frozen in shock, took the hit directly and was blasted away again. The destroyer leapt hundreds of meters in pursuit, pressing the **salt. Thor barely fought back. His closest brother was a frost giant, the very race he once sought to exterminate. And now that same brother wanted him dead. This couldn't be happening. With Thor occupied by the destroyer, Leon's opponent naturally became Loki. Leon. RC warned over their Bluetooth link. The casket around his neck emits extreme cold. Bast and I couldn't get close. Be careful. Oh. Leon raised an eyebrow, unfazed. Is that so? He smirked at Loki. Hey bro, you don't actually think you're strong, do you? Insignificant human. Before Loki finished speaking, Leon vanished. A blur, almost teleportation speed. He reappeared behind Loki and swung his shield toward the back of his head. Loki himself couldn't react, but the casket of ancient winters did. A wave of absolute zero frost exploded outward in every direction. Leon's ultra instinct kicked in automatically, aborting the strike at the last instant. He disengaged, sliding back. A thin layer of frost crystallized across his vibranium shield. Foolish mortal, Loki sneered. As long as the Frost Giant King bears the casket, it will defend me automatically. No living being can approach. Even that mechanical life form at your side. His arrogance returned. Leon's speed had startled him, but if the casket could react in time, then there was nothing to fear. Loki raised Gungnir, preparing to end this irritating mortal. Boom. A distant object broke the sound barrier. The shockwave hit Loki before he could process it. His smug smile warped as his body bent like a shrimp, and he was sent flying over 1,000 meters. Back on Leon's side, he had just completed a baseball throwing pose. The Desert Eagle he'd hurled returned automatically to his hand. Nice. Darling, we're a perfect match. He blew imaginary smoke from the barrel. Damn it. What was that? Loki climbed out of a fresh crater, helmet missing, curls disheveled, bruises blooming across his face. He touched the Yoryu chain at his neck. The casket had absorbed most of the impact. Fortunately, Yoryu, reinforced with his frost power, was nearly indestructible. A smug grin crept back onto his face. Then, crack. The grin froze. The Yoryu chain had snapped. No. The miniature casket slipped free, falling toward the ground. Loki lunged to catch it, but the sonic boom returned. This time he saw it clearly. Larger than the gun. Too thick to be a shield. Too small to be a door. Leon's tungsten, vibranium shield. Under its monstrous kinetic force, the miniature casket was knocked clean out of Loki's grasp, sent flying into the distance. Loki stared at his empty hand. He clutched Gungnir desperately, attempting to recall the destroyer armor. Clang. Another metallic shockwave erupted. The impact struck Gungnir directly. Overwhelmed by the sheer force, the spear flew from Loki's grip. He turned to retrieve it. 3 *Civ silhouettes descended from above, surrounding him.
Leon.
RC in combat mode. Bast in towering panther form. Where do you think you're going, little brother? Leon cracked his knuckles, smiling pleasantly. Enough. You are nothing. Insignificant humans. Lowly beasts. Scrap metal. I am a god. You dare humiliate the future king of Asgard. Ah. Key dialogue triggered. Leon's grin widened. With instinctive precision, he flashed forward, seized Loki by one leg, and performed a tribute to the Hulk.
Slam. Slam. Slam.
When Leon finished, RC, offended at being called scrap metal, grabbed Loki and repeated the treatment.
Slam. Slam. Slam.
Bast shifted into human form and delivered her own series. Slam. 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 By the end of it, Loki's once proud gaze had become crystal clear. He nearly forgot how to breathe. For someone whose frost giant physiology offered unimpressive strength, barely above peak human, his durability was remarkable. In the original timeline, even Hulk's beating had barely broken skin. Now, after enduring a 3-person relay, the psychological damage far exceeded the physical. Father, I want to go home. TT. Tears streamed down Loki's face. His eyes rolled back. He paw asterisk set out. Almost simultaneously, far in the distance, an enormous lightning storm erupted. Thor had reached clarity. A tornado-like vortex of divine thunder slammed into the destroyer armor. The construct shut down and crashed. Even from afar, Leon could feel the terrifying residual shockwave. He had to admit, in terms of raw destructive output, Thor was stronger right now. But in practical combat, Leon's near immunity to instant kills, superior mobility, and *Civ ultra instinct made him effectively unbeatable against hammer-wielding Thor. They were both heavy artillery types with defense *Sing offense. Thor had the larger caliber, Leon had the greater maneuverability. Number 91. Operation Save Odin, a surprisingly practical pull. The Casket of Ancient Winters, mine. Gungnir, mine. The Destroyer Armor, mine. Mine, all mine. Watching Leon gather the divine artifacts from Odin's vault into a neat pile, as if claiming loot from a dungeon clear, Thor finally lost his composure. Leon, those are my father's treasures and war spoils. That may be, Leon said lightly. He pointed toward Loki, currently hogtied in an elaborate restraint by RC using vibranium-woven cables, gagged with a ball gag, and being held upside down. But I helped Asgard eliminate a major threat. Maybe if I ask Old Man Odin nicely, he'll just gift them to me out of gratitude. Thor fell silent. Odin was fair in reward and punishment. It wasn't impossible, but handing out crown-tier relics like party favors? Unlikely. Still, Thor didn't want to dampen Leon's enthusiasm. He turned to Loki instead. Loki, what exactly happened in Asgard? MMPH. MMPHHH. If you want answers, let me speak first. Dangling upside down, veins bulging on his forehead, Loki looked utterly humiliated, defeated, and still being publicly disgraced. While Thor interrogated Loki, Leon stepped aside and initiated a video call to Tony. Beep, beep, connected. What? What is it? I'm extremely busy. Requires total focus. If this isn't important, don't call. Tony's voice blasted through so loudly Leon nearly crushed his phone. What are you busy with? Why so grumpy? Heh. Tony smirked, casually spinning a metallic gyroscope between his fingers. While researching the biomagnetic field, I developed a cellular refinement method for the human body. When I finish mastering it, I guarantee it'll shock you. What? Leon blinked. You've stopped building tech and started cultivating immortality now? No. Tony wagged a finger. Science is the highest form of mysticism. Magic, cultivation, just branches of science we don't fully understand yet. He refused to elaborate further. Anyway, why did you call? Leon tilted the camera, revealing the pile of Asgardian relics behind him. I found some divine artifacts on the roadside. Want to drop by and pick one before they're gone? Not interested. What kind of junk is that? I can't spare the time. Unless I contact you first, don't call me again. One call just wasted an entire day of cultivation.
Click.
Call ended. When Leon tried calling again.
Blocked.
Good. Very good. Leon smiled with nuclear-level calm as he crushed the phone in his hand. He was already planning how to thoroughly kick Tony's backside once he got home. Suddenly, Thor shouted in disbelief. What? You allied with Laufey to a **Sinate father while he was in the Odin sleep? Thor grabbed Loki by the collar and lifted him off the ground. Loki, what kind of monster does that? Thor, do you ever let anyone finish speaking? Loki snapped. How was I supposed to know coming to Midgard, the weakest realm in the 9 realms, would result in so many variables? A few centuries ago, they were primitive apes killing each other with crude weapons. He shot an annoyed glance at Leon in the distance. Did this guy crawl out of a rock? I never intended to kill father. I planned to protect him, slay Laufey, and earn my right to the throne through glory. That's all. Was that wrong? No. The one at fault is Odin. For taking me from the battlefield. For never telling me I was Frost Giant royalty. For favoring you while denying me the throne. I did nothing wrong. The world is wrong. Loki's **Sionade outburst left Thor speechless. With his straightforward worldview, Thor struggled to judge the morality of Odin's choice. Brother, if we return now, there may still be time. Loki muttered it quietly, almost grudgingly. Hope ignited in Thor's eyes. He set Loki down and turned.
Leon.
I need you. He froze. What are you doing? Waste not, want not. Let me experience what it feels like to be Odin. Leon had already donned the battered, but structurally intact destroyer armor. In one hand, Gungnir. In the other, his vibranium shield. The broken URU chain had been extended with a vibranium link, and the casket of ancient winters now dangled from it like a leashed pet. He had no intention of touching that frostbox directly. Purely in terms of visual presence, Leon now looked more like a god king than elderly Odin himself. The 9 realms are one family. As guardian of Midgard, I have a responsibility to assist Asgard in protecting Odin and eliminating the frost giant King Laufey. Thank you. But return those artifacts afterward. Thor couldn't help adding that last part. Borrow and return. Easy to borrow again. Leon smiled mysteriously. Prompt. Do you wish to perform today's daily sign-in?
System.
I shall deploy in God King mode. Open.
Ding.
Daily sign-in complete. Congratulations, host. You have obtained Yoarha number 2 Type B, 2B. Yoarha number 2 Type B, a general-purpose battle android from NieR Automata. Equipped with standard military visor, female heat dissipation framework, tactical pod support unit, large sword, virtuous treaty, small sword, virtuous contract, and more. Absolute loyalty to her master. All commands executed at 100% compliance. Description. Glory to mankind. Oh, mid-tier strength, but extremely practical utility. Hakimi system, you've got good taste. However, 2B seemed built purely for combat. All metal, all hardware. Given Leon's physical durability, he could test the limits, but probably only once. If her black box detonated, that would be messy. Looks like the Phase 2 outfit upgrade plan. Can't wait. Number 92. Leon. Boxer briefs. Boxer briefs. Heimdall. I require your aid. Heimdall? Thor raised Mjolnir and shouted to the heavens, but Heimdall, the all-seeing guardian, gave no response. Loki, what's going on? Thor turned to glare at Loki, who was still trussed up in an elaborate vibranium restraint. His legs had been freed enough to stand, but he remained thoroughly bound. Loki averted his eyes, his expression stiff. I froze Heimdall with the casket of ancient winters. The Bifrost is currently guarded by another Asgardian warrior I promoted. Scourge. Open the Bifrost. Nothing happened.
Caw. Caw.
Thor and Leon both stared at Loki in silence as an awkward crow call echoed in the air, courtesy of Leon's man with his own Beecham effect. Scourge. Leon murmured. The name rang a bell. Where is he? Thor demanded. Probably busy. Loki muttered, visibly uncomfortable. Loki, next time you appoint someone, make sure they're reliable. Thor snapped. Boom. A pillar of rainbow energy descended from the sky, enveloping Thor, Loki, and Leon in full God King attire. They ascended instantly. Asgard. Bifrost Gate. Heimdall. The Warriors 3, and Lady Sif stood frozen in solid ice, preserved mid-motion like statues. Around them lay heaps of retro-industrial-looking junk. Below, the sea had nearly frozen over. Frost giants leapt from ice floes onto the solid span of the Bifrost. Facing more than a dozen towering frost giants advancing steadily, Scourge, who had just inserted the Bifrost sword key into its mechanism, felt his heart racing. Total annihilation. Rat-tat-tat. Rat-tat-tat. Dual rune-augmented assault rifles, named Des and Troy, spat enchanted rounds with extended magazines and enhanced firepower. It took sustained fire to drop even one frost giant. Against a swelling horde, it was a drop in the ocean. Then, boom. A flash of rainbow light flared.
Oi.
Need a hand. Scourge turned. Behind him stood Leon in destroyer armor, smirking with a butcher-style grin. Golden energy swelled in his chest. Holy SH. Scourge ducked instinctively. Fwoosh. A beam the width of a water tank erupted from Leon's chest. The peripheral heat singed away Scourge's remaining wisps of hair, but the main body of the thermal radiation blast swept the Bifrost clean. The frost giants were erased in a single devastating *S. At Leon's current level, firing a dozen such blasts consecutively wouldn't even strain him.
Loki.
Look at what you've done. Seeing Heimdall and the others frozen solid, Thor shot Loki a furious glare. He moved to shatter the ice with Mjolnir. Brother, if I were you, I'd let them thaw naturally, Loki warned. One swing, and you'll have shattered corpses instead. Thor clenched his jaw and lowered the hammer. Thor, speed is critical. I'm faster than you. I'll go ahead and save Odin. What? Leon took off before Thor could protest, streaking toward the distant golden spires of the royal palace. Wait. Take me with you. I'm not on board yet. Thor raised a hand helplessly as Leon vanished. With no choice, Thor began spinning Mjolnir for flight, but before he could lift off, more frost giants scaled icy ladders onto the Bifrost. To defend the realm's vital bridge and its planet-killing capability, Thor remained behind, dragging Loki along while battling the invaders. Scourge, out of ammo, wisely positioned himself behind Thor and cheered. For Asgard. Asgardian Palace. Odin's chamber of Odinsleep. While his decoy force drew attention outside, Frost Giant King Laufey infiltrated alone. With a casual backhand, he knocked Frigga aside. He conjured an icy dagger and approached Odin's golden cradle, prying one of the Allfather's eyelids open mockingly. They say even in the Odinsleep, you can see and hear everything around you. I hope that's true. Die in regret. You are slain by Laufey, king of the Frost Giants. He raised the dagger. Swoosh. Boom. A blur smashed into him from the doorway. Laufey's Civ body rocketed into the golden wall.
Ow.
Am I late?
Leon.
Frigga, steadying herself, took Leon's arm. Her refined, age-lined face shone with relief. My child, why are you here? Leon blinked, puzzled by her tone. Behind him, frost crackled and Laufey roared. Battle not yet finished. Crack, crack. Who dares interfere? Oh. Leon turned, rising slowly into the air via his biofield until he was level with Laufey. With a roar, Laufey formed an enormous frost axe and brought it down toward Leon's left shoulder. Leon did not move. Crack. The axe fractured instantly upon impact. Fissures spiderwebbed upward from the point of contact. TSK, too weak. Without the casket, what are you? Leon shook his head in open mockery. In the next heartbeat, he shifted from stillness to motion. A supersonic punch shattered the frost axe completely. A point-blank chest beam followed. Laufey was blasted through the palace wall and hurled from the 1,000-meter heights down toward the Bifrost. Leon pursued through the breach. Laufey lay broken and bloodied, but barely alive. To survive 2 of my chest blasts, you may take pride in that. Remember the name of the one who killed you. Homelander, Leon Stark. Another beam. Complete annihilation. No remains. Number 93. Among men, among steeds, red hair, among guns. Leon. Leon. How is my father? After eliminating the frost giant strike force, Thor regrouped with Leon on the Bifrost, Loki in tow. He and your mother are fine, Leon replied with a grin. Sleeping peacefully. Thank you. Thor pulled him into a bear hug. Off to the side, Loki quietly exhaled in relief. At that moment, an aged yet steady voice sounded behind them. My children, you have done well. You protected me, the Bifrost and Asgard. They turned. Odin, clad in golden silk robes, walked slowly toward them with Frigga at his side. Father, Thor called out. Loki, seeing his parents again as a prisoner, felt both shame and grievance well up inside him. His eyes reddened. Father, I could have done better. No. Odin's gaze swept across the still blood-stained bodies of frost giants on the bridge. His eyes were heavy with sorrow. Loki, it is I who erred. He looked toward the heavens and sighed. Is this the end of one war, or the beginning of another? Simple, Leon interjected casually. Keep the good guys. Kill the bad ones. Odin looked at him and smiled gently. You resemble her, yet you are not the same. I am old. The future belongs to you. With that, Odin turned and walked away alone, his back tinged with quiet melancholy. Frigga stepped forward, embracing both Thor and Loki. Then she took Leon's hand.
Child.
Come with me.
All right.
Though confused, Leon followed obediently. He was unfamiliar with Asgard after all. Thor and Loki, meanwhile, headed toward the Asgardian dungeons. No matter Loki's regret, or his parents' affection, his crimes against Asgard were real. Odin was fair. He would not wrong the innocent, nor would he spare the guilty, even if that guilty one was his son. Frigga led Leon to the royal dressing chambers. A dozen lightly dressed attendants immediately descended upon him, stripping off the battered destroyer armor and prying Gungnir from his stubborn grip.
Hey.
What are you doing? These are my war trophies. Hey! And that's my divine spear, all right? It's way thicker than that skinny Gungnir. Are you blind? Chaos ensued. Within moments, Leon was stripped down to nothing but his ultra-elastic fiber boxer briefs. His sculpted musculature, arms thick and long, physique reminiscent of a Greek statue, drew flushed faces and breathless gasps from the attendants. "Child," Frigga said with a soft smile, "these are relics of the past. You deserve something better." With a casual wave of her hand, Leon's trophies vanished, magically stored away somewhere. Regret flickered across his face, but anticipation quickly replaced it. Soon, Leon was dressed in a ceremonial outfit similar in style to Thor's armor, but with fewer heavy metallic components, more refined and regal. Led into the grand hall of Asgard's palace, the first thing he saw were two colossal statues of fully armored Asgardian warriors, each towering dozens of meters high. At their center, Odin, now clad in full divine regalia, sat upon the throne with Gungnir in hand. Frigga stood at his right. Thor, fully armored, stood at his left. Below them stood Heimdall, the warriors three, Lady Sif, and Asgard's elite. A golden path stretched from the hall's entrance to the foot of Odin's throne. On either side, a sea of Asgardian citizens and soldiers. The attendant bowed and withdrew. Before she left, Leon gave her a firm Leon grip squeeze, strong enough that her knees nearly buckled. She bit her lip, barely maintaining composure as she hurried away. "Humph. You don't get to take advantage of me for free. He'd collect interest later." With that, Leon stepped into the hall. The moment he appeared, Thor raised Mjolnir, lightning crashing around him. "Leon!" And the crowd roared in unison. "Leon! Leon!
Leon.
Leon!" The sound nearly ruptured his eardrums. Fortunately, RC had already dampened the audio via Bluetooth. After 2.5 seconds of mental preparation, Leon put on his signature, radiant smile. He waved gracefully as he walked down the golden path. The adoration felt almost identical to Earth. Experience gave him poise. Strength gave him confidence. As he strode toward the throne with utter swagger, Thor covered his face. Because Leon winked at Frigga, a direct homage to Thor's coronation entrance in Thor, 2011. Frigga smiled warmly. This child. He had Thor's boldness, hints of Hellas' decisiveness, and Loki's sly possessiveness toward divine artifacts. The more she looked, the more pleased she became. Love by association. Even if he wasn't hers, she couldn't help feeling affection. Odin struck Gungnir against the floor.
Boom.
Silence fell instantly. Leon Stark. You aided Thor in reclaiming his power. You exposed Loki's scheme. You saved me from peril. All Asgard acknowledges your deeds. I, Odin Allfather, grant you one boon. As long as it lies within my power, and does not disturb the peace of the 9 realms. State your wish. Leon's brow twitched. Absolute thought acceleration activated. Time seemed to slow as his mind raced 1,000 times faster. One wish. Too little. His adult greed wanted more. 1 into 2. 2 into 3. But push too far. And Gungnir might push back. Was there a loophole? Some exploit that wouldn't trigger divine admin punishment. His thoughts stormed. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. For reasons unknown, lines from the Tao Te Ching surfaced in his mind. And then, a spark. Leon lifted his head, face solemn. I have wandered half my life in vain, lamenting only that I had not yet encountered a true God King. If Odin does not reject me, Leon wishes to take you as my sworn father." Times N. The hall fell into stunned silence. Wait, what? Number 94. God of Battle, Leon Stark-Odinson. Wait, what? The Asgardian citizens erupted into discussion. Most were shocked by Leon's wish, but none thought it inappropriate. In Asgard, Odin All-Father was absolute. His promises were beyond question. Odin rose slowly from his throne, his single eye settling on Leon as he asked in solemn confirmation, "Leon Stark, is this truly your wish? To become a member of Asgard? To become the adopted son of Frigga and myself?" "Yes." Leon nodded. At the side, Frigga's smile was radiant, brimming with unconcealed delight. Thor, meanwhile, still wore a look of utter disbelief. Was he really about to gain another brother? No way, Leon was older than him, right? Thud. Odin struck the ground with Gungnir once more. The hall fell instantly silent. "Leon Stark, disciple of the Ancient One, protector of Midgard. Your valor has been proven beyond doubt through your slaying of Laufey, king of the Frost Giants. Then answer me this. If you are to become a member of the royal house of Asgard, are you willing to bear the responsibility of defending the 9 realms?" "I am." "To defend my 9 realms. Then so be it." Thud. Odin slammed Gungnir heavily against the floor. The spear tip lifted, pointing toward Leon. "In the name of Odin All-Father, your wish is granted. I bestow upon you the honored title of God of Battle, Leon Stark-Odinson." A beam of golden energy burst from the tip of Gungnir and shot into Leon's forehead at the speed of light. Boom! The instant Odin's proclamation ended, the solemn atmosphere exploded into thunderous cheers. In unison, the people of Asgard roared, "God of Battle! God of Battle! God of Battle!" But what truly overwhelmed Leon was the barrage of system notifications flooding his mind. Notice, you have been granted the divine title, God of Battle, by Odin All-Father. God of Battle. Mastery of all martial disciplines is bestowed upon you. As long as the skill does not involve rule-based, conceptual, bloodline, or rank-specific restrictions, you will achieve instant comprehension, perfect recall, immediate execution, instinctive integration. Description: a true god of war dares to face the bleakness of life and the sight of blood unflinchingly. Notice, you have obtained the blessing of Odin All-Father. Blessing of Odin All-Father. Recognized as Odin's adopted son, though lacking Asgardian blood, you have unlocked the origin of divine energy conversion. You may convert any form of energy you possess into unaligned divine power. Description: O radiant starlight, never has there been such an exquisite experience. Holy, my All-Father really came through. Would you like to perform today's daily check-in? A system don't tell me there's more?
Ding.
Daily check-in complete. Congratulations, host. You have obtained Valhalla. Valhalla, I am Valhalla. When you and a sentient being reach mutual recognition, upon their death, their soul shall be received into the Valhalla rooted in you. Description: how can a god of battle lack warriors loyal to him? Now arise. Tears welled in Leon's eyes. Not for the reason the system implied, but for something far more personal. This child, why are you crying? Frigga ** summed it was from excitement. She stepped forward and gently stroked his cheek. The true reason, only Leon himself understood. Afterward came a grand banquet. The newly appointed god of battle and the returning prince of Asgard were the undeniable centerpieces. Toast after toast was raised in their honor. Leon disliked drinking culture. Unfortunately, Asgard's older warrior maidens were extraordinarily enthusiastic. By the time the banquet ended and Leon returned to the chambers Frigga had prepared for him, he felt as though he were still floating in the clouds. One leg weak, the other leg just as weak. He had no idea how many bold hands had accidentally brushed against him throughout the night. Even Leon, who prided himself on walking through gardens of flowers without a single petal clinging to him, was nearly overwhelmed. So he collapsed onto the bed and fell instantly asleep. When Leon finally awoke, thoroughly rested, it was already the following evening. Lord Leon.
Oh.
A lightly dressed attendant who had been waiting beside his bed stepped forward the moment he stirred. She assisted him in washing, bathing, dressing, attending to him personally and attentively. Still half asleep, Leon glanced lazily at the golden-haired maid before allowing her to continue her work. More pressure. Faster. You're too gentle. I can't feel anything. Once immersed in the bath, Leon fully woke. Behind him, the maid had entered the water as well, saging his shoulders. Why yes, Lord Leon, is this better? That's more like it. Leon leaned back slightly, making it easier for her. What's your name? You may call me Eve, Lord Leon.
Oh.
Nice name. Leon raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. Frigga's thoughtful arrangements did not go unnoticed. 2.5 hours later, Leon carried the now drowsy Eve back to her chamber. Only afterward did he learn. Eve was Lady Sif's elder sister. Unlike her battle-hardened sibling, Eve was utterly unsuited for combat. But her domestic skills were impeccable. For that reason, Frigga signed her as Leon's personal attendant. As for Sif, Frigga had long positioned her at Thor's side as a potential future queen. After all, Thor rarely paid attention to those who lacked martial prowess. Unfortunately, Thor's feelings for Sif were rooted more in camaraderie than romance. Convincing him otherwise would not be easy. Sif, too, felt helpless. She possessed devotion, but lacked the art of seduction. And much like Leon, Thor seemed to harbor a certain fascination with those beyond Asgard. If they weren't Asgardian, Thor's interest only grew stronger. Asgardian dungeons. Leon wandered there alone. Upon entering, the two guards bowed respectfully. Lord Leon. ×2. I've come to see Loki. No need to follow. He waved them off and walked with clear purpose toward Loki's unusually luxurious confinement chamber. A faint smile curved his lips. Interested in making a deal, Loki brother? Number 95. Brothers in Conspiracy. Winter is coming. Hiss. When Leon arrived outside Loki's cell and drawled, Loki brobtherb, Loki felt a chill shoot straight to his scalp. Even as frost giant royalty, he instinctively wrapped his arms around himself for warmth and shot Leon an irritated look. Who's your brother?
Don't call me that.
I'm freezing. Brother. Odin, All-Father, has taken me as his adopted son. Since you're older, it's only proper I address you as such. No need to feel embarrassed, said, just because you can't beat me. There are plenty of people who can't beat you, Leon added casually, hands clasped behind his back. With a flick of motion, he dispelled the transparent magical barrier sealing Loki's cell and simply walked in without closing it behind him. Loki's eyes narrowed. Seeing the barrier left open, his thoughts immediately stirred. One hand slipped behind his back, green illusion magic flickering to life. From Loki's perspective, Leon strode toward the illusion he had left in place. Meanwhile, the real Loki turned invisible and slipped past Leon with a smug grin.
Ha.
Thanks, brother. His smile curved like the Nike logo as he stepped confidently out of the cell. The moment his foot crossed the threshold, a familiar sensation struck. From the shadows beside the cell emerged Bast in her maid-form attire, black and white, elegant, and utterly lethal. She appeared at Loki's side like a phantom. Grabbing the leg he had just stepped out with, she swung him left and right like a rag doll, then tossed him back into the cell, as if discarding trash. Leon didn't even need to look. Under ultra instinct, he shifted gracefully aside, sing Loki with effortless elegance as the god of mischief's smile distorted.
Bang.
Loki smashed through his own illusion and slammed into the wall, limbs bent into a twisted sprawl. Like a gecko, he slid slowly down the smooth, S-like surface, face first. From smug to not smug. Bastard. That's the 4th time, I swear. If you dare treat me like this again, I'll... Before he could finish, Leon had already appeared in front of him in an instant. No wind-up, no warning. What are you doing? Loki demanded, raising his hands defensively and squeezing his eyes shut, expecting yet another humiliation. Smack. 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 Instead, Leon grabbed one of his hands, pulled him upright, and even brushed the dust from his clothes. Brother, I believe you are more suited to be king of Asgard than Thor. So, interested in making a deal?
Oh.
Loki's eyes gleamed. You do have good taste. Go on. The Asgardian throne had always been his deepest obsession. At the mention of it, he forgot Leon's earlier provocation entirely. More importantly, Bast, who could see through every illusion, stood beside Leon watching him intently. Loki didn't dare attempt any tricks. I have a plan that requires your cooperation. Agree to it, and afterward you'll earn enough merit to offset your current crimes, restoring the love of the Asgardian people. As for Thor, he no longer desires the throne as he once did. I'll handle persuading him. And under the support of Thor Odinson, god of thunder, and Leon Stark Odinson, god of battle, Loki Odinson, god of mischief, will ascend the throne. Interesting. Loki gestured for him to elaborate. Everything Leon said was quietly veiled beneath Loki's illusion magic. The prison guards and other inmates noticed nothing. Unless Odin himself were physically present, Loki was confident the deception would hold. Leon leaned closer and explained, this, then that, followed by this, and finally that. Well, Leon asked once he finished. If events unfold exactly as you claim, Loki extended his hand with a smile. Then we have a deal. Leon shook it firmly.
Deal.
As a gesture of good faith, I prepared a little gift for you. You insist on close combat, yet insist on wielding those rather shabby-looking daggers. It's hardly fitting for an Asgardian prince. Someone might think Asgard cannot even provide its royalty with proper weapons. Mind your own business, Loki shot back flatly. My daggers were enchanted by Frigga herself and nourished with my divine power. Believe me, if I stab you, the blade will go in clean and come out red. Leon chuckled. I'm afraid you'll never get the chance to prove that. With Ultra Instinct, unless an opponent could overwhelm him in sheer speed, they wouldn't so much as brush a strand of his hair. And Loki couldn't even fly. If Leon took to the sky, Loki would be left staring helplessly upward. Smiling, Leon clapped his hands. RC, also dressed in maid attire, stepped forward carrying a rectangular wooden case roughly a meter long.
Click.
The lid sprang open. Inside lay two elegant silver short swords, refined yet razor-sharp, with slightly elongated hilts designed for swift, precise strikes. Frigga confiscated your daggers. No matter. These are called lion's fangs. They will more than fill that void, and help you leave this prison. Leon gestured for him to try them. Lion's fangs. Loki arched a brow. If you dislike the name, you're free to rename them. They're yours. The design struck directly at Loki's aesthetic sensibilities. It was as if they had been crafted specifically for him. He reached out, but before his hand touched them, the twin blades leapt from the case on their own, flying into his grasp. Like Mjolnir, but without the inelegant hammer aesthetic Loki so despised. His approval deepened instantly. Well then, Leon said lightly, I'll leave you to your fun. With a crooked smile, he departed, Bast at one side, RC at the other, looking every bit the victor of life. The transparent barrier shimmered back into place. Watching Leon leave, Loki smiled faintly. A hint of green flickered in his eyes. With a subtle flick of his wrist, the twin silver blades vanished from sight, as if they had never existed. Thanks, brother. Would you like to perform today's daily check-in? Do it.
Ding.
Daily check-in complete. Congratulations, host, you have obtained Frost Affinity. Frost Affinity. You possess extreme resistance to cold. Frost is no different from a warm spring to you. Description: winter is coming. Leon grinned. Oh, not bad at all. Number 96. Custom Divine Weapon, the Stellar Forge. After finishing his greeting with Loki, Leon returned to his chambers, intending to have Eve Ma * sage the stiffness from his muscles. She was still fast asleep from exhaustion. With a quiet sigh of regret, he gave her a few playful squeezes of what he privately called Leon's grip as consolation before leaving her to rest. Just as he stepped out, considering which familiar Asgardian lady he might visit for a proper spa session, Odin's voice echoed beside his ear. "Leon, come to the vault." "On my way." Leon's eyes lit up with anticipation. Something better was coming, wasn't it? Odin's vault. Descending the staircase, the first thing Leon saw at the end of the corridor was the restored casket of ancient winters. Odin, clad in full regalia, stood nearby holding Gungnir. His back was turned. Golden divine energy flowed steadily from his raised hand into the grid structure behind the casket. He appeared to be restoring the destroyer armor. Along both sides of the corridor rested relics of legend: the Orb of Agamotto, the Tablet of Life and Time, the Eternal Flame, the Infinity Gauntlet, and many more. "Father." Leon stepped forward respectfully. Without turning, Odin asked calmly, "Frigga has requested that I grant you a divine weapon. What do you desire?" Leon seeks nothing. "I leave the choice to you, Father. Your divine weapon should be of your own choosing." "In that case," Leon glanced at the treasures lining the vault. "May I take them all?" He figured that when Ragnarok arrived, many of these artifacts would be lost anyway. Better they end up in his hands. Even Odin paused at that. Turning slowly, his single eye narrowed. "Child, you ask for much." Leon met his gaze evenly, unflinching. At worst, he'd get beaten up and go running to Frigga afterward. Silence filled the vault. Only the soft hum of divine energy persisted. And the lattice at the far end opened. The towering destroyer armor strode forward with imposing presence. The golden light in Odin's hand faded. His cloak stirred though no wind blew. "Bring the casket," Odin said simply. With his free hand, he lifted the eternal flame from its resting place. Then he strode out. The destroyer followed like a sentinel. Leon blinked. "Does that mean they're mine?" Shrugging, he hoisted the casket of ancient winters by one handle and followed. Outside the vault, Odin had already mounted Sleipnir, heading toward the Bifrost Observatory without waiting. Leon summoned Bast. "Meow." She appeared in her small feline form, still half asleep, lazily licking her paw. "Shift. I need a ride." He tossed her forward by the scruff.
Ah.
Oh. Still groggy, she instinctively transformed, only to drop into an awkward crawling posture. "Not that form." Leon gave her a firm squeeze of Leon's grip. Bast jolted fully awake, face flushed, and instantly shifted into her majestic Black Panther form. Leon mounted her and quickly caught up to Odin. Odin glanced at Bast and gave a faint smile. "Fine mount. I see no need to prepare you another." "Hardly compares to yours," Leon replied humbly. Sleipnir snorted, vapor streaming from its nostrils, then surged forward. Bast growled and accelerated in response. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the Bifrost Observatory. By sheer speed alone, Bast edged ahead. "Heimdall," Odin called. The ever-watchful guardian stood ready, scourge at his side. "Open the Bifrost. Leon and I are bound for Nidavellir." Heimdall's gaze flicked briefly to the eternal flame, the casket, and the looming destroyer behind them. He asked no questions. The sword key slid into place. Boom. The rainbow bridge ignited, enveloping Odin, Leon, and their entourage in radiant energy before hurling them across the cosmos. Scourge leaned closer. "What do you think they're planning, bringing all that to the dwarves?" Heimdall did not remove his hands from the sword. "What is not your concern should not be asked. Guard the bridge." "Right." Scourge returned to polishing his twin rifles, Des and Troy. Nidavellir. In an instant, the Bifrost delivered them across unimaginable light years to the dwarven realm of the Nine Realms. The colossal stellar forge dominated the void, a ringed construct harnessing the power of a dying star. The arrival of the Bifrost's energy flare drew the attention of over 300 dwarves laboring along the iron star rings. Persecuted across the 9 realms for their unparalleled craftsmanship, they survived under Asgard's protection. In gratitude, they devoted their entire race's forging genius to crafting divine weapons for Asgard, leaving an indelible mark on mythic history. King Odin. And this must be the one who slew Laufey, god of battle. Leon Stark Odinson. I am Eitri, king of the dwarves, my people, and I praise your strength and valor. Eitri and his kin bowed in solemn respect. Leon smiled warmly. Eitri, and masters of the forge, your strength and craftsmanship are equally worthy of legend. No other race in the 9 realms could turn a dying star into a forge. It is both madness and greatness. Among allies, mutual praise was simply good manners. And these steadfast, iron-willed dwarves, arguably the hardest-working craftsmen in the 9 realms, truly deserved it. Number 97. Strongest of the 9 realms. The War God's Shield. Part 1. Ha ha ha. Leon Odinson. You've got good taste. Eitri laughed proudly. Just call me Leon. We're all of the 9 realms. No need to be so formal. Leon walked up to Eitri and looked up at the so-called dwarf, whose height actually exceeded that of the destroyer armor. This counts as a dwarf? I've really seen everything now. Suppressing his inner complaints, Leon rose to eye level and clapped Eitri on the shoulder. Leon, my friend, no need to trouble yourself. I can kneel if needed. No, this works fine. Soon more dwarves, some of slightly more reasonable height, gathered to greet Odin and Leon. Before long, Leon and the dwarves were chatting enthusiastically, even half-seriously discussing relocating the stellar forge closer to Earth. Thud. Odin struck the ground lightly with Gungnir, cutting off Leon's increasingly unrealistic ambitions. Eitri, Odin said gravely, we have come to forge that weapon.
Oh.
That weapon. I thought I would never have the chance to craft it in my lifetime. At Odin's words, the dwarves shifted instantly into full work mode. Like a disciplined swarm, they began coordinating seamlessly. With a sweep of Odin's hand, a mountain-sized Ma**S of URU appeared. The dwarves divided it into measured portions and carried it piece by piece to a colossal crucible. Preparation for smelting began. Meanwhile, Leon stood off to the side, utterly confused. That weapon? Which weapon exactly? Father, this. Before he could finish, Odin turned toward him.
Leon.
Bring forth your shield. All right. Leon summoned the soldier boy's shield from his system's storage space. Eitri snatched it from his hands and tossed it directly into the crucible. And Eitri extended his hand again. And what? Leon blinked. Tentatively, he produced the rest of the soldier boy's suit uniform. Without hesitation, Eitri threw it into a second crucible. What the? Is this divine forging or a stew? Leon couldn't make sense of it. Then Eitri extended his hand again. I require 25 tons of energy-absorbing metal. How much? 25 tons. Energy-absorbing metal. Eitri repeated calmly. Leon went silent. He glanced at Odin. Odin merely smiled faintly, offering no assistance.
System.
Current vibranium reserves from Vibranium Miner? Unit. KJ. Leon inhaled sharply. The number was precise.
And enormous.
He hadn't cleaned out his system storage in ages. Daily check-in junk had piled up beyond counting. With a flick of his hand, Leon released 25 tons of vibranium. The dwarves waited. Satisfied, they tossed it into the crucible containing the uniform. With base materials complete, the dwarves activated the stellar forge. Father, Leon asked as the mechanisms began roaring to life, what exactly are we forging? Unlike Thor and Avengers, Infinity War, Leon didn't need to endure the raw force of a neutron star. The forge was operational. The dwarves were intact. He could stand comfortably as a spectator after supplying materials. Odin answered calmly. Asgard's strongest divine weapon. The war god's shield, Einsiga. What? Wait, what? I thought Stormbreaker was Asgard's strongest weapon? Leon stared in disbelief. Were the Marvel films inaccurate? Have I been watching bootleg Marvel this whole time? Odin shook his head.
No.
Both are supreme. Stormbreaker is a bridge. The war god's shield is Asgard's ultimate defense and its ultimate spear of conquest.
Oh.
Leon nodded slowly. He understood immediately. One was the express delivery. The other was the payload. Now the only question. How devastating is the payload? Leon's anticipation surged. Father, since we have the capability now, why not forge Stormbreaker as well? Odin's gaze remained steady. You are younger than Thor, yet your mind is already tempered and resolute. You seek freedom, pleasure, and companionship, but you understand yourself. Thor does not. He has yet to see the path before him. To forge Stormbreaker now would only invite covetous eyes and disaster. Leon blinked. So you're worried about people coveting Thor's weapon, but not mine? He didn't say it aloud. Father and son turned their attention to the roaring forge. Suddenly, the once dim star flared violently to life. Observe, Leon. This is Nidavellir. Eitri shouted proudly. Boom. A column of golden stellar energy erupted from the heart of the dying star. It said through the concentric iron rings and into the forge core. With his newly acquired frost affinity, Leon's temperature perception had sharpened dramatically. The sudden surge of heat gave him a visceral sense of the star's true fury. Stellar energy surged through blazing crimson conduits, funneling directly into the two Sieve crucibles. URU and vibranium began to liquefy. Holy! Tony would absolutely regret missing this. Leon grinned. RC recorded everything for later bragging rights. Would you like to perform today's daily check-in? System, I'm fired up. Do it.
Ding.
Daily check-in complete. Congratulations, host. You have obtained Flame Affinity. Flame Affinity. You possess extreme resistance to heat. Solar flares are no different from a gentle breeze to you. Description. Praise the sun. Nice. Leon clapped his hands in satisfaction. Moments later, the mountain-sized SES of URU and vibranium had become twin molten lakes. Eitri and the dwarves moved quickly, using specialized instruments to measure composition and scattering unknown metallic powders into the mixture, fine-tuning divine alloy ratios with meticulous precision. After finishing that phase, sweat pouring down his face, Eitri turned toward Odin and Leon. I require the armor's base frame and its power source. Number 98. Strongest of the Nine Realms. The War God's Shield. Part 2. At Eitri's shout, rumble. Between the two colossal crucibles, a third, smaller, humanoid-shaped crucible rose from below. Smaller was relative. Eitri himself could easily lie down inside it. Thud. Odin struck Gungnir against the ground. The destroyer armor strode forward obediently and laid itself within the third crucible, arms crossed over its chest as if entering solemn repose. Then Odin gestured toward the casket of ancient winters in Leon's hand. The casket lifted into the air. Together with the eternal flame in Odin's grasp, both artifacts embedded themselves into two pedestal mounts fused to either side of the crucible. A perfect fit. Soon, under the extreme heat of the stellar forge, the destroyer armor began to glow red, entering a semi-molten state. Runes surfaced across its surface, only to be wiped away by Odin's hand. A vast torrent of divine power surged from Odin's body, engraving countless new runes into the armor.
Dense.
Endless. Leon felt his heartbeat spike. Am I about to break the system? When Odin finally ceased channeling power, he staggered slightly. Leon rushed to steady him. Father, are you all right? It is nothing. Odin waved him off gently. For me now, divine power is a heavy burden. Releasing it is a relief. Leon nodded. He understood that feeling perfectly well. Pressure built up too long must eventually be released. Within the crucible, most of Odin's divine energy fused into the destroyer armor, transforming into layers upon layers of glowing runes. For a moment, it seemed as though the armor might rupture from the strain. Leon tensed. But the excess divine energy, instead of dissipating, lifted everything into the air. The destroyer armor. The casket of ancient winters. The eternal flame. The molten lakes of URU and vibranium from the two Ma***Civ crucibles. Odin's divine power shaped itself into a void furnace, suspending them all. Leon could only think. Odin's stats are ridiculous. Within the void furnace, the casket and eternal flame dissolved into pure energy forms, ice blue, crimson. From above and below, the opposing forces seeped into the destroyer armor. At the same time, Ma***Civ streams of molten URU and vibranium branched off from their respective crucibles and flowed toward the armor. Using it as a core frame, they reshaped it entirely. Despite the immense influx of metal, the armor did not grow larger. If anything, it shrank slightly, refining itself toward proportions perfectly suited to Leon's height and build. Gradually, the molten metals diminished by more than half. At the center of the chest plate, the ice blue and crimson energies converged. They merged, becoming a radiant crystal, predominantly sapphire in hue, yet shimmering with subtle rainbow refractions upon closer inspection. Once the armor fully took shape, the remaining molten URU and vibranium wrapped around it completely. They formed a colossal, glowing red sphere, like a living metallic embryo, suspended gently by the final membrane of divine power. Slowly descending. Leon. Odin's voice was steady. It will be one of your most important companions. Only you're suited to it. Only you can draw out its true power. All preparations are complete. The final step is yours. Correct. Eitri called, stepping aside and activating a mechanism near the crucibles. Leon rubbed his hands eagerly and flew to the central platform. So what do I do? Pierce the remaining divine membrane, Eitri instructed. Let the molten materials flow into the shield mold below. Got it. Leon cracked his knuckles. Idiot. Not with your hand, Eitri shouted. The temperature is catastrophic. You'll be vaporized. Too late. Leon raised his left hand, 2 fingers extended like a blade, and thrust them straight into the metallic embryo. Eitri's eyes widened. Leon withdrew instantly, completely unharmed. Only his sleeve had burned away, revealing a sculpted, powerful arm. What? You're fine. Leon smirked. Obviously. Who do you think I am? Internally, he gave a silent thumbs up to his newly acquired flame affinity. Without it, he might have lost more than a sleeve. With the membrane ruptured, the molten metals did not cascade violently downward. Instead, they flowed steadily through the opening Leon had created. Below awaited a shield mold, roughly resembling his original shield, yet sleeker, sharper, more aggressive in design. A fusion of molten textures and crystalline ice aesthetics. Though the mold appeared ordinary in size, it continued absorbing the entire Ma***S of molten metal without overflowing. Odin's magic. Unquestionably. Soon, all molten material, including the reforged armor core within, filled the mold precisely. No excess. No deficiency. The precision was staggering. Leon wasn't sure whether to credit Odin's sorcery or the dwarves' craftsmanship. Probably both. The mold sealed itself. Silence fell. Only the faint hiss of cooling metal and the dwarves' restrained breaths remained. Even Odin tightened his grip on Gungnir. If something went wrong, the combined might of the casket and eternal flame could annihilate everything present. Fortunately, no catastrophe came. The temperature dropped steadily. When it reached stability,
boom.
Eitri raised a Ma***Civ forging hammer, resembling Mjolnir in silhouette, and struck the mold with titanic force. It shattered. A column of radiant rainbow light burst upward into the heavens. And from within, it emerged. The war god's shield, Ironsiga. A masterpiece. Silver base. Symmetrical ice blue and crimson gradient patterns radiating outward. Elegant, yet unmistakably aggressive. It hovered in midair, blazing with prismatic brilliance, as though proclaiming to the 9 realms, I am supreme. I shall subdue all enemies. This flashy personality. Leon had a feeling he knew exactly who had inherited that from. Number 99. War God's S.H.I.E.L.D. The moment it was born, the War God's shield displayed a sentience akin to Mjolnir. Its purpose was clear. It flew straight toward Leon.
Bang.
Leon caught it with one hand. The sheer density and Ma***s nearly made him lose his grip. For a split second, the weight dragged his arm downward, but Leon's strength far exceeded it. He adjusted instantly and locked his hold tight. Setting aside Mjolnir, whose weight was governed by Odin's enchantment rather than physics, this was the heaviest single combat weapon Leon had ever wielded. At the same time, the system chimed. Notice, Soldier Boy's suit has been fully reforged into War God's S.H.I.E.L.D. Recognized by system parameters. May be freely stored in or retrieved from system storage space. War God's S.H.I.E.L.D. Jointly forged by King Eitri and Odin Allfather using vast quantities of URU and vibranium, combining the strengths of both, kinetic absorption and energy reflection, enhanced enchantment compatibility, and adaptive reinforcement. The destroyer armor serves as the core combat framework. The casket of ancient winters and the eternal flame form the eternal core of infinite energy. Engraved with origin runes, war god runes, reinforcement runes, return runes, regeneration runes, restoration runes, transformation runes, giant runes, morph runes, gravity runes. Base weight, 108,000 gene, almost equals 54 tons. May become lighter than a feather or heavier than a mountain. Divine power infusion has no upper limit. When wielded by God of Battle Leon Stark-Odinson, may summon the War God armor, which is considered an extension of the shield. Description: Miracle unto you. Leon read every line, then silently concluded, My shield is officially tougher than I am. Perhaps due to the Ma***S.H.I.E.L.D. power spike, the system automatically displayed his updated status panel. Host: Leon Stark-Odinson. Title: God of Battle Abilities. Soldier Boy Template. Super Self-Regeneration. Adamantium Skeleton. Starlight Template. Biofield. Vibranium Physiology. Gunslinger's Blessing. Mental Control Immunity. Haki, all 3 types. Man with his own BGM. The Fool. Blessing of Contraception. Vibranium Minor. Time Immunity. Absolute Thought Acceleration Ultra Instinct. Storm Template. Blessing of Odin Allfather Valhalla. Frost Affinity. Flame Affinity. Items: War God's Shield, Iron-Siga Infinite Ammo Desert Eagle, Indestructible Return Rune, RC, Spark, Everburning, Bast Collar. Yoarha Unit 2B. Regeneration Cradle. Ultra-Elastic Fiber Undergarment, Indestructible, Super Deadpool Suit. Carbonadium Dual Blades. Godzilla Template Fragments ×3. Endless Series Items. 54 tons. Leon whistled internally. At this weight alone, one swing could flatten most villains, at least before Marvel's late-stage cosmic lunatics start showing up. On the heroic side, Hulk would handle it comfortably. Spider-Man, probably not. By habit, Leon equipped the shield on his left arm. Instantly, it shrank, condensing into a watch-sized, exquisitely ornate disc around his wrist. At the same time, a faint consciousness brushed his mind. The shield did not want to be stored in system space. It wanted to remain outside. With him. Leon smiled faintly. All right, stay with me. He gently touched the miniature shield. It hummed affectionately in response. Leon. Odin beckoned him closer. Leon stepped forward. Odin lifted Leon's left wrist with invisible force and infused another strand of divine power into Iron-Siga. Leon, Odin said gravely, for you at present, the War God's shield is too powerful. If you force certain abilities, you will harm yourself as much as your enemies. I have placed 3 seals upon it. The first is Guardian. The second is Destruction. The third is Void. These seals will always exist. They will not suppress you unnecessarily. When your strength reaches the threshold, each will unlock automatically. In the face of unavoidable mortal danger, you may also choose to release them yourself. But remember, excess invites ruin. Power beyond control leads only to self-destruction. With your current strength, the first seal, Guardian, may already be released at will. But do not grow arrogant. Leon nodded solemnly. I understand, Father. Outwardly obedient. Inwardly, I only fight battles I can crush anyway. If he couldn't crush it, he simply wouldn't fight it. Foreknowledge was his greatest advantage. Who was safe to provoke? Who was absolutely not? He knew the difference. Still, a thought lingered. If even the eternal flame has been fused into this, Father, why can't you prevent Ragnarok? Odin's expression dimmed.
No.
Ragnarok is destined. If one Surtur falls, another will rise. It is Asgard's fate. Unless one transcends all things **, sing, even the gods. But such heights are distant.
He sighed.
Leon remained unconvinced. If another Surtur shows up, I'll make him kneel and sing. If there's nothing else, Odin said calmly, offer your thanks to Eitri. We return. He turned to depart, exchanging only a knowing nod with the Dwarven king. Their bond required no ceremony. Father, wait. Leon raised a hand. Odin paused. Yes. Leon opened his system storage again and pulled out a white-haired female android. Short bob cut. Black blindfold visor. Black gothic dress. Thigh-high boots. Unactivated. Father, do you have any spare URU? I'd like to upgrade my toy. Leon's voice was entirely shameless. The word toy echoed ominously. Odin, Eitri, and 300 dwarves. All instantly understood. Odin closed his eye. The look on his face said it all. This child is beyond saving. Number 100. 2B. Peak performance at launch. And what exactly do you intend to do? Odin asked helplessly. You must understand. The URU reserves in Asgard's vault are not limitless. Odin genuinely liked Leon. So did Frigga. A lively personality. Knows his limits. Doesn't cause real trouble. Unlike a certain hammer-wielding god who constantly shouted about conquering realms. But liking him didn't mean indulging everything. Odin straightened slightly, intending to display a measure of kingly authority. Only for Leon to flash step behind him and start saging his shoulders with exaggerated devotion. Father, I don't need much. Just replace everything beneath her synthetic skin with URU. And maybe add a few runes to make her more durable. I would be eternally grateful. Odin's eye twitched. He glanced at the unactivated 2B, supported by RC, silently calculating. Only this once. Deal. Leon agreed instantly. Odin produced another batch of URU, far smaller than the mountain used for Iron Siga, but still considerable. RC scanned 2B's internal mechanical framework and projected a full 3D schematic for Eitri. Leon removed her black box core, retaining only the micro-nuclear reactor that served as her power source. Theoretically, her energy supply was effectively limitless. In emergencies, she could even emulate a Two's method, extracting trace deuterium from water to fuel high-output combat. Tiny quantity. Astronomical heat value. More than sufficient. Eitri waved dismissively. Simple. With the Stellar Forge active, refining URU mechanical components was trivial. The most time-consuming part was crafting the molds. Before long, 2B's exposed mechanical frame, now fully reconstructed in URU, was complete. At Leon's insistence, Eitri reserved internal slots for a future communication module installation. After core and drive modules were replaced, Odin stepped forward. He engraved runes across her URU frame. Regeneration runes. Reinforcement runes. Stability runes. Enhancement runes. If it was being done, it would be done properly. By the end, Odin seemed almost carried away. He enchanted her like a second destroyer, transforming her into a dual-drive Divine Valkyrie, nuclear core plus divine energy hybrid. The divine power would require periodic replenishment, which, naturally, was Leon's responsibility. The replenishment method? Comparable to a certain mage and servant mana transfer dynamic. No further elaboration required. Naturally, a pseudo-neural feedback system, similar to RC's, was added to 2B's upgrade list. Those who understood, understood. Finally, Leon retrieved the regeneration cradle from system storage. After RC configured 2B's vibranium-infused synthetic dermal modeling program, Leon placed the fully enchanted URU frame inside. As for her pod support unit, Leon replaced its materials and her signature swords Virtuous Contract and Virtuous Treaty with active adamantium. The pod would later undergo major upgrades under Tony's supervision. 2B's integrated technology would serve as valuable reference material. Once everything was complete, Leon stored 2B, still mid-modification inside the cradle, back into system storage. Because she was technically undergoing enhancement, the system allowed the bug of merging the two equipment states into one slot. Mission complete. Leon turned to Eitri. My friend, next time, I'll introduce my older brother Tony. In some ways, he's a forging genius, too. I guarantee you'll spark inspiration together. Eitri laughed heartily. We dwarves yield to none in craftsmanship, but we welcome all who respect the forge. With booming laughter echoing across Nidavellir, Leon and Odin ascended. The Bifrost descended in radiant light, and in an instant, they returned to Asgard. On the way back to the palace, Leon couldn't resist asking, if the Infinity Gauntlet has already been forged, why not gather the 6 Infinity Stones as well? Odin chuckled softly. Leon, remember this. Only ignorant weaklings chase after Infinity Stones. True strength is never created by them. Leon raised a brow. So, could you defeat someone who collected all 6 and survived the backlash?
No.
Odin turned away, cloak flowing majestically. Leon blinked. The All-Father truly was the All-Father. Even admitting defeat carried royal dignity. Back in his chamber, Leon reclined with his head resting on Eve's lap. She gently washed his face and saged his temples. Asgard felt quiet.
Too quiet.
Where's Thor? Leon murmured lazily. Haven't seen him since the celebration. Eve paused. My lord, you didn't know? Know what? Lord Thor is leading the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif to Jotunheim to suppress Frost Giant unrest. Leon's eyes snapped open. There's something like that happening? Why didn't you tell me sooner? That was the perfect combat benchmark opportunity. Leon raised a hand, pushing aside the obstructing softness in his field of vision. Duong. Seal 1.
Guardian.
Release. War God armor. Manifest. The watch-like disc on his wrist blazed. Ice blue and crimson light intertwined, and the war god armor unfolded around him in radiant brilliance. The god of battle departed for Jotunheim.
And with that, Part 4 comes to an end. Chapters 76 to 100 have reached their conclusion, but Leon Stark's journey is far from over. New challenges, greater powers, and unexpected enemies await in the next part. So, get ready for Part 5, the story continues.